Welcome to episode 53, our live episode.
Woo-hoo.
This is a very big episode.
It's going to be a good one.
Yes. For anybody that's watching on Facebook, we appreciate it. The only reason it's not on YouTube is apparently you have to wait 24 hours to be able to live stream on YouTube, and it's at hour like 22 right now. So I can't be on YouTube time. And if you're talking,
I was about to say.
let me bring up the comments.
We can blame Max for being late.
Tracy, it's a lot of people that we're trying to get on. I was on time. Everyone else was late. So this episode is a little different than our regular episodes. It's not going to be so much what's on. Well, some of it will be what's on YouTube, but it won't be as much of a view of what happened in all of the reptile culture this past week, as much as it will be what happened in Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana over the past week. I'm trying to count how many guests we have in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guests. We'll bring everybody in, and we're just going to kind of discuss what went on this week. Robert, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a lot better than I was 4 or 5 days ago. We've had power for about 48 hours now, knock on wood, straight. A lot better. We had to, at one point, we moved our entire collection to another house that had electricity, which was not easy. And then, had a generator go out on us. I had to get another generator and get it set up. And then it was that second night was every, 2 hours. We were up because the power would go out. Or we would have to get up because we weren't running the incubator on the generator at first because it wasn't maintaining the heat correctly. We have eggs in there. So like every 2 hours, we would have to get up and fill water bottles up with hot water and put them in the incubator. And then Rachel stressed over that forever. If you want to go ahead and bring her in, since
that's true, we could go ahead and bring Rachel in.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's Rachel. It's Robert's.
It's another girl.
It's Robert's better half. Well, I say better half. It's just Rachel.
Oh, you hush.
There we go.
Oh, there. Yeah.
She muted herself like you asked.
That was
James.
good, but just tried to talk on mute. That does not work.
Yeah, I know.
all the
There's
time.
a bunch of stuff on this table I had to move out of my way to get my mouse working.
If anybody watching on YouTube sees the nice green light behind her, that's because Robert has that rack money and can afford lights to change
Fancy
colors.
stuff. As long as they don't put her in the dark at 8 o'clock, we'll be good.
Well, hopefully he overrode that.
Because when all these lights next to me turn off at 8 o'clock, it's going to make me jump. So heads up.
So before we get into everything, a few things I want to cover. I definitely want to go over sponsors, which we have both of our sponsors on tonight again. But our first sponsor, Kori doesn't have a blurb up, does she? Nope.
I don't have my blurb up. I'm sorry. We got other stuff going on tonight.
But our first sponsor is obviously Robert. Go ahead.
Who is currently running a special.
Yeah, everybody knows who I am and what we do. In fact, it even says it on the screen what my business is. But we are running a special right now. I mean, it doesn't really save the customer any money, but I'm going to donate 10% of all of my sales for the rest of the month to the Herps Family Foundation or Fund. I don't remember what Sean called it. I just drew a blank. Because there was a lot of people in our Herps family, especially, who had it a lot worse than we did. Rachel and I had it rough. We spent a lot of money on gas and generator and everything else, but there were some people that we know that lost a lot more. So even if I can give just a little bit back, we're going to.
Yeah.
And I would love, while we're doing this podcast, to see some comments over to the side where people went to the to PayPal and donated some money while we're talking. That'd be awesome to see tonight. We'll let Sean give the PayPal information here in a little bit.
Absolutely.
And before we bring Sean in, because I do want to bring Sean in from Herps Reptile Shows, I guess an update on us. We didn't have it as bad as y'all as far as losing power. We were iced into our house for about 3 days.
We were able to leave today and see real roads. It was lovely.
I forgot what a road looked like.
I think we're starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit.
Well, I can just sleep. That'll be good.
We did do that today, actually.
Lots of sleep.
We got angry and then both went back to sleep and then woke up in much better moods.
Yeah.
So that's for real.
Yeah. When you flush toilets and things come back into the house, it just
fun.
means the day is over and you go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Did y'all Did y'all lose anything before? Because we got a whole bunch of people. We're gonna get into their stories. What happened to them this week? But I want to go ahead and get y'all's. I know you were able to move your animals to a separate location so they can stay warm. But
Well, when we found them the first morning, when we realized that the power wasn't coming back on, because nobody expected that, right? It was what, Rachel, 51, 52 degrees in our snake room?
Yeah, it was about 52 degrees in the snake room, and they were really cold.
And on the off chance that we have people watching, listening that aren't reptile people, what do you normally keep your snake room at?
We keep the snake room between 75 and 80.
Okay. So, so a 20 to 25.
Yeah, they have hot spots in the 80s on the racks.
Right. I mean, our racks are set at 90. So they were very cold. They were very lethargic. We have a bunch of babies. I don't know, Rachel, what do you have right now? 15, 20 babies? I mean, not a bunch, but enough.
18 hatchlings right now. And then I've got 7 in the incubator.
Yeah. So the hatchlings were the ones we were really worried about. They were very lethargic. We have a few that are, a month or so old and still haven't taken a meal. So they have that added stress on top of them. We're still really worried about them. Of course, we're watching for RIs now because they were probably 6 to 8 hours in that 50-degree room. Yeah. So the only thing that we have officially lost so far is our daughter's girlfriend had a little baby crested gecko that had been with her in Huntsville, where she lives. For those of you not familiar, it's about an hour and a half north. It's near Conroe, actually, about 30 minutes north of Conroe. And her power went out in her apartment, and it was 30 degrees inside her apartment. And she slept cuddled up with her little baby that she actually got from Tyler, Gecko World Austin at Conroe. So, I mean, it's a baby. And she has an adult leopard gecko and an adult bearded dragon. She slept curled up with them all night and ended up bringing them here. And once we got power back, but the little baby crested gecko, we found him yesterday morning. She didn't make it. So
the leopard gecko and bearded are doing okay.
They're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing good. So we also have 5 bearded dragons and a couple leopard geckos and what else, Rachel? That's it.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
We were constantly the power would come on. We'd put the bearded dragons back in their enclosures with their heat lamps, and the power would go off. And we'd put them in tubs and take them in the snake room because we had a heater in there. With on the second day, I don't know. I had to ask my son earlier what day of the week it was. I mean, he had to ask Alexa because neither one of us knew. So,
well, the first few days
for Alexa.
First few days of the freeze, when we didn't have any power, I had reached out to Kevin at KDF and asked him if he had any suggestions, and he told me if I had access to hot water to fill hot water bottles and fill the tubs and keep a room warm. So I was able to keep the bearded dragons, leopard geckos all in the bathroom and kept it at about 65 degrees, and got up every 2.5 hours during the night and changed out the hot water bottles in my incubator, and was able to keep my incubator between 86 and 88 degrees until we got power back on.
That's awesome.
So, you'll have to tell her to reach out to James Brigoli. He wants to replace her Krusty for her.
Oh, thank you.
He just commented on that. I'm keeping up with the comments. I feel like that one should be mentioned right now, though.
See, we went through the whole power loss when Hurricane Laura came through. We went a week.
Yeah, a little over a week without power. We were lucky enough that it was warm enough outside.
Yeah, that was the big difference. I'd tell her during this whole thing was hurricane season, we lose power. It's still warm enough our reptiles to make it. This whole thing of losing power for people was insane because you're dealing. I mean, the other night, I know here it got down to 9 degrees and it felt like -5 outside.
Which was absolutely. I did stay up to be able to.
I did walk out. I walked outside to see what it felt like.
And see what it felt
it's fucking cold. In case anybody's curious, it's fucking cold.
Yeah, the dog was not happy
when it was like 11 or 12 degrees. And I walked out in basketball shorts and a t-shirt and no shoes to walk the little puppy.
Oh, hell no.
Not thinking, just completely, it's how I do it every morning. I never think. And I got about 2 steps and I was like, oh, let's go back in and get some sweatpants and some shoes and a jacket. And
yeah.
And I put the little dog, he's this tall. I put him down on the grass and he looked at me like, you fucking serious, dude? Are we doing this? Can we go somewhere else?
Yeah, he wanted nothing to do with that.
I actually saw someone on Facebook that put a piece of plywood down on their grass. It snowed on top of the plywood, and then they would lift the plywood so the dog actually had grass to be able to go to the bathroom on. Like,
Yeah, but then when you put the plywood back down, you have a nice poop sandwich.
Well, you would pick it up before you put the plywood
Pick it
down,
up.
James. It's not complicated.
I'm not picking it up. I haven't picked up the shit in our backyard. Our kid needs to get back here.
That
She
is
can
her
do that.
job. She hasn't been here to do her
There's
job.
frozen dog turds. Oh, they thawed out, so now they're just soggy dog turds.
Yeah.
Our biggest issue was we had the tortoises in the tortoise barn, which I posted online, and I was super happy. It stayed about 85 degrees even when it got down to 10 degrees outside. So the tortoises, like I said last night when we were on, I haven't seen them alive. So there's a chance they could be dead, but they're warm no matter what.
There's no more ice and snow on their bunker or in their yard. So tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a feeling our only loss from this whole storm, and I am kind of heartbroken. I know it's not as bad as everybody else, but I believe I let all my cactuses die. I have an awesome little cactus garden that I started, and they were just covered in ice yesterday.
Yeah, we've been to do it about 5 different times and never got our flower bed in the front covered Rachel and I put a lot of work into, and it all looks really bad right now. So I don't think anything made it.
Yeah. I'm heartbroken once the fall
the
really
357-pound rock is going strong.
Yes, the rock didn't die. He's doing great.
Doing great. Hardy has survived.
So,
we'll see if the cactuses, how they do.
Cenozoic Reptilia asked if the temps are going back to normal. Ish. I mean, it was weird. Today the high was 40, but the low tonight's 17.
And then the high tomorrow is 53 in Louisiana, with the low being 33.
Yeah.
So that's
next
exciting.
week we get back into the 60s.
Yeah.
With lows into the 40s. 50s.
It's supposed to be 70 here on Sunday.
That's crazy.
So I'll be back in shorts on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to get up to the 60s too.
Oh man. Alyssa said she lost most of her cactus too. That doesn't make me feel good.
No, that doesn't. That doesn't give me a lot of hope.
Since we got a bajillion people on here, let's go ahead and bring in our other sponsor and go ahead and talk about that. So let's bring in Sean Gray. How's it going, Sean?
What's up, guys?
How's everything over there?
Good here. We haven't had any issues. We lost power. We haven't lost power, water, or anything. Kind of feel guilty, honestly.
I understand that feel.
Yeah, it was hard watching everybody going through that and then trying to figure out a way to get to them or try to figure out what to do to help. But we got lucky and we were prepared as much as we could be, but I don't think anybody was prepared for this. But this is what we do in Texas.
That's right.
Right?
Every day.
So yeah, we're good. I'm just glad that most people made it out okay. I know there's so it's not over, honestly, with the going on. Even with the animals getting back warm, you're gonna have issues. So, but we can bring all that up when we're talking. But yeah, we're good, man. We're good.
Well, there was one great thing I saw that came out of this, and we will talk about some of the negatives. Well, one big negative in the hobby, but some of the positives that I saw. People like yourself, Bill Stiegel, opening up your homes to anybody else that needed somewhere to bring their animals to keep them warm through all this. That was great to see.
Yeah, I think Chase Baker has a few people's collection. I know Ty was on with us earlier on Chris's podcast, and Chase took in his animals, and I think Keely Johnson's animals, and maybe a few others. And he lost power there for a little bit, but he had heaters running and stuff. So looks like everything survived in his collection, and again, that's what we're supposed to do. That's really what we're supposed to do.
Another big thing that I want to bring up, and that's one reason we really wanted to have you on here, and it kind of got pushed out because of all this, is your new foundation. I know you'd been talking about it, planning for a while, and kind of been doing this under the radar for a while.
Yeah.
But I want you to go ahead and talk about that.
So last year, Lori and I, we do fundraisers at all the shows, and we've done to other people, and we donate to USARC, and we do the things you're supposed to do to help the community. But we've so much crap going with COVID, and then people having their cars blow up or whatever it is. There's always something that's going on. There's always someone we can help. When Norm had his heart attack, so we've talked about doing the Herps Family Foundation, and you guys know, you guys are vendors, you understand the kind of atmosphere that we try to promote at our shows, and not at just a show, during the week when we're just talking and hanging out. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted to have a place where people could donate money that it would go to helping those people, that we had a reserve backup fund. So we started working on the nonprofit side of it last year, trying to get the paperwork, and everything keeps getting shuffled around and pushed aside. And this was like the straw that broke camel's back with this, to get it out there as fast as we could. And so what we're doing is we're taking donations, and actually we asked Katie Lewis to be our treasurer. So she's.
I haven't told anybody.
Yeah,
I kept it all so secret. I was so proud of myself.
Katie's actually one that we instantly thought of that would that could be perfect for that. And JT Tomlinson is our first board member. JT and I have talked about it at length, and JT's one of the guys that was a definite, because he's seen both sides of it. You know, he's helped so many people, but he's also been helped by so many people with what, you know, losing his house in the fire and things like that. So, and what it is basically is we're going to have a group of board members, and when something like this comes up, we're going to have that fund available. They'll vote on who to disperse it to, and we'll go from there. So it's just another, I mean, we're still going to do our auctions and things like that. We always want to help people in any way we can. But that's something that we really wanted to have out there. That way there's a backup plan, you know?
Well, and that's what I tell people all the time when we talk about the Herps Reptile shows, because a lot of our guests that come on have been Herps vendors because they're people we know. And I try to tell them it's different than any other group of people that have done reptile shows together. Like, it's just, like you said, it's a family, and then stuff like this that makes it completely different than the competitors.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, honestly. We have a reptile community that is shattered, and you see it all the time. You see people that, like, you know, Billy said on that video, that the reptile community needs to come together. There's more people that are against keeping animals than actually are reptile keepers. Yes. So we have to stick together. We have to help one another. We have to make our hobby a different level. We have to help each other make everyone else better, period. What is it? Rising waters raise all ships, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where we've always been like that. We've been vending shows for years, and there was no family kind of feel, you know.
And what's really great is that there are so many of our kids that are also involved in this. Mm-hmm. So they're watching how we react to things, and they're seeing how we are acting as a family. So in turn, they're going to learn that this is how to do things the right way, and Absolutely. This is how things should be done, and it's going to keep growing the hobby.
Well, and I also love people that come to a Herp show as their first reptile show, and they think, because if that's the first thing they see is a reptile show, that's how a reptile show should be. Because I've been to other ones that if that's the first one you ever saw, you'd go, "Oh, I'd never come to this again."
Yeah. Jennifer Williamson, yes, that's the PayPal address.
Yes, herpsfamilystrong@gmail.com if you want to donate. Please donate.
I think we got close to $1,500 in one day.
Yeah, it was pretty high.
Yeah, it was really.
If we only had someone in charge of the money that could tell us.
I know.
So.
Yeah,
1,400. That's awesome.
And you're gonna bring. I know we're gonna be bringing Kori on in a bit, but Kori actually choked me up earlier because Kori had a lot of damage to her house, and she got some of the money from Josh's foundation from the Reptile Breeders Fund, right? Well, she took some of that money and donated it to the Herps family. So that was actually
awesome like that.
Kori's okay.
Kori's okay. But that's how we are. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. So there's a lot of negativity going on, but you know we try to make a positive light
with all the positivity.
Okay, let's get this done, and let's get this done quick.
We're going to bring this up. We're talking about it on this episode, and then we're done with it.
Seth also watched this. Do we want to pull Seth into this too?
Everyone watch. We'll get to it. Everyone's going to have their.
Everybody watched it today.
I did not. I can honestly say I was watching Schitt's Creek, working on a quilt.
So, I mean, if somehow someone that's listening has not seen what's been going on lately in every Facebook reptile group, there was a message put out on, was it Tuesday, when everybody was really starting to suffer?
I think so.
Animals were dying. People were losing power. A very heartless message that got put out. And this will be the last time I give this dude any say whatsoever. But I will go ahead and read it just because it's so negative that I've got to read it just to get it right. It was from Ball Pythons 101, which I'll be honest, until this happened, I had never heard of them. But I don't. I'm not, even though I own ball pythons. But he said, "Yo, this weather and ice storm is crazy. Honestly, I have zero space for you if you don't have electric, and I'm sorry you didn't have your stuff handled prior like you should have. I could be cheesy and say, let me know if I can house your animals and help, but let's
Open the picture.
That's what I was trying to do. I didn't have the picture
You're
open.
not
Oh,
prepared.
I forgot it was longer. But let's get real. What the?
Come on, man.
My computer didn't even like this dude. It doesn't want me to talk about him. Let's get real. The only collection I honestly care about is mine. The end. Real talk. No fake shit. Handle your own. And they push come to shove. I'd work out a space in your shed for you. In our shed for you. But the quarantine and health of my collection comes first. And the integrity. Breeder PR these storms.
With a smiley face.
With a smiley
face emoji.
All right. So I want to give my 2 cents real quick.
Real quick.
And then Robert can give his. And,
real quick.
And everybody else can talk shit about this guy as well. I honestly don't care if this is how he feels. I don't care about not wanting to have animals in his house. That says for whatever. There was no fucking point to making the post. That's my problem. Is there was no reason to just pile on top of people like Robert and like me and the people that we're going to have on tonight who were suffering and try and act like the victims are the ones to blame here. Because I know that the people we're talking to, they were prepared for snow, for anything that that's existed before. They were ready for that. They weren't ready for the shit that happened over this past week. And if you're not down here, I don't want to hear from you about how things happened in Wisconsin or Maine, or I don't give a shit. We don't do ice. Our houses aren't made for ice.
Our infrastructure.
Our roads aren't made for, we don't do that. We don't. And then Texas was not made to not have power for days at a time. So
the biggest point of this all, though, is, yeah, you said it perfectly. He has his prerogative not to let them. But he has a platform which he is popular on. It has, 70,000 followers.
He had 79,000.
Have.
Now he has 71,000.
But that is a lot of people that he has responsibility to make sure that he doesn't put our community down. For him to have that kind of following and to use that platform to spread basically negativity and just complete lack of empathy, that's the biggest thing that I have a problem with. And you can blame it on ignorance, but his responses after that just proved to all of us that he didn't give a shit.
Well, because he didn't end there. He ended up saying when people got pissed off, he ended up poking the bear there and making fun of the ones that got pissed off. And then he came out with this bullshit apology that he then deleted from Instagram and Facebook. And
then he talked some more shit, and then he put another apology up, and then deleted that. And then he put another apology up, and that one's still there.
Everybody knows it's insincere, though, because many pulled out apologies. I mean, guy's just a dick.
Billy just gave him on that video. Ripped into his ass, and
that's the first time I've ever heard Brian Cusco curse like that.
Oh,
yeah, Brian Cusco called him
when that happens,
to suck a dick. I expect me to send people messages that say "suck a dick," but I don't expect Brian Cusco to tell anyone on earth to suck a dick.
You could tell how visibly like shaken they both were. And some people may not know what happened with all that, but everybody kind of jumped on MJ because he was doing it. And he probably had ulterior motives, don't really care. Nobody wanted to hear the apology, but I'm glad that the way that they handled it was the way they handled it. He had a minute and a half to speak, and they basically all told him, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear from you again.
I did enjoy that, because I know that the original episode of that podcast was supposed to be, what is it? I honestly don't listen to that podcast. What is it called?
Snake Trap Sessions. I've never heard of it either.
Yeah. So the original episode of that was to be the previous day, yesterday, I think. And then there was backlash from everyone about him having this guy on to give him a platform. And so they paused. They did it today. He gave him a platform for, like you said, about a minute and a half. Yeah. And then he brought on Brian Cusco, who I've had Brian Cusco on this podcast. He's one of the nicest people I've ever talked to in my entire life.
Yeah.
And to watch Brian Cusco tear into a dude and basically say, I'm never going to forgive you. I'm never going to buy shit from you. And obviously suck a dick.
Yeah.
James is pretty hung up on that. If you haven't caught that yet, the shock is still very,
When Brian said he gave his son headphones and an iPad because he didn't want him to hear what he had to say, so this is going to get good.
And then having Billy on from Mutation Creation, and Billy gave a whole backstory as to the guy's character previously.
Yeah.
And come to find out, there's been a lot going on in the past. He hasn't been the best people person in the past.
And
Billy,
kids that are not that great at people persons though, and even they know this is unexcusable.
Well, watching Billy, I mean, he was about that close to tears, like crying.
I thought he was gonna have a stroke.
He couldn't sit still.
It became like, look, I don't like this dick that made the comment. It started to become uncomfortable for me to watch it, and I was like,
okay, now I really got to watch it.
I was like, dude,
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen it.
I was like, you may just want to turn off your webcam and go home. Like, just.
Well, every single person that was commenting on that before felt Billy just said exactly how everyone felt. Absolutely called him out on all of his shit. Told him he was full of shit. His apology means shit, and that guy can go do whatever he wants. People are still going to buy ball pythons from him. He's still going to breed. That's his prerogative. But maybe he did. I hope, because I'm always the optimistic person, that he actually did learn something from that. Who knows? So his ego may be too big. The kid's only been doing this since 2014, and he thinks he's hot shit. He may have some amazing snakes, but he's got a lot to fucking learn about how the reptile community works.
You need to bring him in.
All right. I got to bring in Seth because it looks like he's having a stroke down there.
The need to speak.
So I will let Rob introduce Seth real quick, and then I'll bring him in. Robert, go ahead.
Seth Huff Power with Huff's Herps. He's a gecko breeder out of San Antonio, right? Seth, come on. Yeah. What's up, Seth?
What's up, guys? Okay, I just wanted y'all to bring me on real quick while y'all were talking about the one-on-one thing for a specific reason. I met Chris after or during the last NARBC. I guess was that last September?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the first time I ever met him, first time I ever laid eyes on him, first time I ever heard his name. We were hanging out outside the hotel, and this is just classic. Like, whenever I saw all this shit go down a couple days ago, I was like, oh, this makes fucking sense. Because we were standing outside, hanging out, just doing the Saturday night thing, drinking beers, whatever. And his buddy it was my wife and I and him and his buddy hanging out, talking outside the hotel. Well, I don't know what happened, what they have been doing, but his buddy literally passed out and hit the ground, okay? And literally within minutes, this dude was ready to bolt. Like, before anybody even was ready to figure out if his buddy was okay or not, he was like, all right, see y'all later, guys, I gotta go. Like,
that's not okay.
Exactly. No, exactly. Like, it was so, whenever I saw this shit go down and I realized who it was, I was like, oh my God.
All these light bulbs are going on.
It makes perfect sense. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that. Yeah, y'all can carry on. I just wanted to mention that because it was so, like, you know what I mean? It was
shows us.
I'll give my last bit on this guy, and then we'll go on to.
I don't think he deserves too much of our attention, to be honest.
I guess I'll give
more
my bit
publicity than he deserves, because any publicity is good publicity, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Maria Rodriguez, but she likes your beard.
But all right. So my last 2 cents on this guy, and it's not really on him. It's on the hobby, and the reason I had the biggest issue with this. We posted this story on our Facebook group, and I'm trying to remember who it was. There was someone that talked about how we should probably not try and basically come at him with pitchforks and flames and try and get rid of this guy, which I get. I think it was Scott. That's what it was, Scott Borden. And I saw where Scott was coming from. The whole idea of, and kind of what Brian said, we just ignore this guy and it'll go away or whatever will happen. Maybe we don't all need to jump on and attack this guy. But I feel that the rest of the hobby needs to see that this is not all right. And I think if we just ignore it, they don't understand the severeness of what he said, and that he's not the only one. There have been a handful of people that have popped up and said he was right. And like I said, my issue isn't with what he said. And what he said was messed up. It's the fact that he said it in public. There was no reason for that. And if you didn't
he had to think about that whole thing and post that.
Yeah.
And
then he doubled down.
we can use this as a learning opportunity and teach the other douchebags in our hobby that that's not okay. If they take anything from this, that's what we need to do, is spin this positively, because that's not how you treat people that are in our hobby. Period.
Nope.
Exactly. And so that was my issue. Well, and again, if you don't want to house other people's animals in your house, I get that. I understand that part of it. And if you do, like Sean and Bill and many other people did, that I get that too. Like I said, my problem was there's no reason to tell people you didn't want to do it. I mean, I don't think there was a line of people lining up to ask him to put their snakes in his house. That just wasn't happening. So that's it. That's all I have to say. If anybody, as we go through, if anybody wants to comment on it, that's fine. But it was a big thing this week on every Reptile Facebook group. So
I just want to make one
all out of context. There was no one asking for it. He lives where, in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
No,
I don't care less, honestly. But I just want to make one thing clear. I do not do meth.
I love it.
So can I be honest? When you posted a picture from Wish, I didn't know what that was.
The crack pipes?
I didn't know what they were.
The crack pipes.
I know. I figured that out because I Googled.
I still can't believe someone. I mean, if they've ever seen you, like I said last night, you have teeth and you're not a skinny guy, so you don't do meth.
Tell me fat? What the fuck?
I didn't call you fat. I just didn't call you skinny.
No,
So
not a meth head.
These cheeks have no room to talk.
I'm not fat. I'm big boned.
Yeah, and for people who don't know what that's about, yesterday in one particular Facebook group, Sean made a very respectful comment to MJ about using his platform for good instead of giving this douchebag the room to apologize. And he told Sean to shut up, meth head, something, and that was it. So, and then he left the group like a coward, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What a bitch. Oh, I also liked Brian, and I'm not letting MJ get away with what he did when he kind of backed this guy yesterday, and then the post he kind of made.
Billy jumped him too. Billy said the same thing to him, that he wasn't. Yeah. He was pretty disappointed in the way he reacted. And you know what? I don't follow MJ. I don't know. I've never seen his podcast. I know kind of what he does. I looked at some of his other videos. I see where he's going, and if he has his own demons, that's fine. We all have bad days, like he said. But I don't take that shit personally. It doesn't bother me. I thought that it'd be a good idea if he has that many followers and that he wants to do that, then do it to do what we're doing like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's try to make it a positive spin. Don't give this asshole any more fucking press at all. Don't give him any more.
Okay, so
I'm gonna interrupt you.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that we should bring Tyler in first because this was kind of his.
Okay.
I know we did bring Seth in.
You can kick me out. I can come back. I'm here. It's all good.
Yeah, let's bring Tyler in. Did James and Katie just freeze staring at each other?
Yeah, they did. Somebody play some background.
It looks so romantic.
I don't know. Katie kind of looks like she wants to kill him.
That's her normal face.
Yeah, he's always looking. He probably pushed the wrong button or something. So let's see who we got there. Joe Challoner. Yeah, he's in Wisconsin. He was dealing with negative 30 temperatures or some shit like that. What's up, Joe? Hi, Kelly, Tracy, Mark, all you guys. I see Facebook user. That must be somebody that thinks I'm a meth head and blocked me or something.
No, for some reason it doesn't show everybody.
Katie's sending messages. It looks like it's just them. They're out of commission for a minute.
Okay.
I don't know what's up with
yeah. Well,
so Robert, you're the co-host.
Carry on, co-host.
I don't have any control of anything, so I can't bring anybody in or take anybody out. So,
well, we're all screwed then, huh?
Well, yeah. So,
did we just lose Robert?
Seth, why don't you tell us what you experienced? No, I'm here.
Okay. So, yeah. Honestly,
yes, Maria, meth is the key.
I was a little bit or more unprepared than I really should have been, to be honest, with everything. Whenever I went shopping, I think Saturday during the day, I realized that the meat was kind of running out, and I called Carrie and I was like, hey, is there anything going on that we need to know about? Because I don't watch the news ever. Like, I just deal with the geckos and do my thing and build cages, and I'm just in my own little world most of the time. And she's like, well, everybody's freaking out about this cold that's coming. I was like, okay, well, I'll get a little bit extra, bottle of water and a little, little bit extra ground beef or whatever, and came home and went about our business. And then I guess it was the Sunday that it really started, I started paying more attention to things and realizing that we were really in for some really freezing temps. And Kori mentioned, hey, we don't have a generator, do we? And we didn't at all. I had, I have a backup battery that I run my incubators on just in case of momentary power failure. And that's all that I have. We're in a pretty rural area. It's very, very low possibilities of power outages. And so it's not something we really worry about very often. And so I went ahead and ran out the Tractor Supply right here in town, and they had one generator left that was gasoline only. They had two other ones that were propane and gasoline, which were like $1,000 a piece because they were dual fuel. And they had one gasoline only that I grabbed for $400. And that was the best $400 I've ever spent in my whole messing with reptiles. So I ended up not being out of power for long periods of time, but we ended up with the rolling blackouts to where we were without for 2 hours at a time or an hour at a time. And if I had that generator, I thought I was good with my battery backup, even with the rolling blackouts. But after a single day and night, or a full 24 hours of the rolling blackouts, my battery backup was down to nothing. To where by the end of the first night, my battery backup was saying, at the end of each rolling blackout, it was out of power. And so luckily I had that generator that I had grabbed, and I was able to start running my incubators during the day. I would run my incubators on the generator during the blackouts, and then let my battery backup recover so that I wouldn't have to run my generator all night long, because my neighborhood wasn't on 24-hour power. So I didn't want to inconvenience my neighbors too much by running my generator all night. I was trying to limit it, somewhat, because our whole area wasn't in so much of a bind that everybody was needing generators for heat. But, obviously with the cold-blooded animals, we had a different circumstance. But I ended up with 0 losses. My reptile room stayed exactly the temp I needed to do the whole time. My incubators didn't fluctuate any at all the whole time. I'm very fortunate, very, very, very lucky, especially with the fact that I was pretty unprepared, in the grand scheme of things. I grabbed the generator right before the storm hit, and I even grabbed my 3 gallons of gas, I think the Sunday morning. It was like I was really, really, really caught with my pants down and still just skated by. And then it was the Tuesday that I was kind of running out of gas. I went ahead and Kori called around and found some fuel, and I was able to get 14 gallons of gas, which I ended up not needing at all. But I had at the beginning of the whole pandemic, I had bought a 14-gallon portable tank just to make sure I could go far distances, whatever, just to have. And I went ahead and filled that up, and I ended up not needing that. But like I said, I was really caught with my pants down. And what's up? There you are.
Hey.
We've been listening.
Oh my gosh.
My computer froze completely, and we had to switch computers.
We improv'd. We went ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you did great. You did wonderful.
I want to say something to what I want to say something like what Seth's saying. A lot of this is going to come up during this whole thing about how prepared people were. I never lost power. I had a generator. I had extra gas. I have a gas furnace. I could have run thinking cords on my furnace, whatever I needed to do. But I lost my Kaiser Eye, the project that I've been working on for 7 years, the ones that I have tattooed on my arm.
No way.
No,
Yeah,
man.
because I found them dead this morning. Because I think that I don't know if it shifted the house, if something happened, but there was a cold draft coming through my door that's sealed completely in my reptile room. That's part of my house actually, I may end up losing my monkey tails and my fimbriatus. It looks like.
I hear that, man.
I lost my. But see, this is the thing is they don't. What people don't understand is I never lost power. I have HVAC in my main house running to that room. I have a baffle switch that I can turn off and on electronically and keep. And I have.
Oh, Sean froze now.
Oh no. Well, I think that's worse.
Just leave them both off, James.
Yeah. We're leaving both off.
What?
Uh-oh. Sean has a funny face. I had a funny face when we froze, didn't I?
Oh yeah, I took a picture. I'll send it to you.
Damn you, Robert.
I just said you looked like you were going to kill James.
My mom texted me and was like, "Are you okay? What happened?"
All right. Well,
Sean will come back in.
Sean will come back. So,
Oh my goodness.
Well, like Sean was saying, I realized at one point when I was, I had to open my window to run the generator extension cord into my Gecko room upstairs. And at one point I realized that I had a little bit of a draft coming across, and one of my racks I had actually unplugged in the process of getting everything in the process of getting my incubators unplugged or plugged in. So even when my power was on in the intermittent times, that one rack was completely off. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned about that rack, and it's a pretty important rack. It's a lot of, up and coming, ready to breed fat tail females that are just ready to, about to ovulate. So I'm be watching that rack pretty close, but it was only like a 12-hour period that they were unplugged, and my Gecko room overall was staying positive,
Well,
70 plus, but that rack is right by the window. So I'm hoping that, those girls are okay. But yeah, like Sean's saying, we're going to have to really have a lot of repercussions here in this next week. Y'all were talking about, watching your stuff for our eyes with as low as they got, especially those babies. There's going to be a lot.
Did you guys see Dave Coffin's post today?
I did. And I was going to bring that up after we got everybody else in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
I saw it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and
Max is screaming at us to bring him in. Let's bring
Sean back real quick. Sean.
Hey, Sean. I think my router just reset, so I'm on my hotspot. So hopefully I still have connection. But yeah, so sorry. What?
You kind of have a connection.
Is it bad?
No, it'll be fine. James is being an ass.
Not being an ass.
What is he not? What is he not?
Right. His lips are moving. He's probably.
Oh yeah. So sorry about
always
that.
an ass.
I thought everything died, but yeah, no. That's probably the worst that I've had to deal with, and that sucked because of the little crack in the door. You know what I'm saying? Like that's heartbreaking for me. But that's nothing compared to having your ceiling cave in on you. I mean, like seeing the damage is just ridiculous, and people losing animals, but it's going to be rough.
Okay, so do we want to bring in Max or just let Max suffer?
Well, this was Tyler.
That's true. Tyler comes in.
This was Tyler's
He's a
idea.
grown up now, so
All right,
to
so go ahead and
include
introduce
him.
Tyler.
He's a grown up now.
Than I am. He is. He had a birthday.
He did. He's a grown up. Robert, go ahead and introduce Tyler.
We'll bring in Tyler Colley with Gecko World Austin now, who was the brainchild that came up with this whole thing. He sent me a message day before yesterday and said, "Hey, why don't you guys think about doing this?" And so I picked it up and ran with it. And of course, he's the first one I asked if he wanted to be on, and he accepted. So, hey, Tyler.
Hey, how's it going? So, for us, we were
Tyler
pretty
not there?
fortunate through.
Hold on. Audio issues.
Is there
So
feedback for anybody else?
I think Tyler doesn't have headphones on, so we're getting the feedback on Tyler's.
Oh,
Yeah.
turn your volume on your computer down, and that should fix it.
He's got headphones. He's putting them in.
Oh, once he does his headphones, will be good.
There you go.
Can you all
Say
hear me?
something, Tyler. Yes.
There we go.
now you have
I
to
can't hear
speak.
you.
You have to
Can't
like
hear us.
call.
I think
There
he
we
has-
go.
Oh, okay. We're all together now.
All
I knew
right.
this was gonna happen.
That's
You're
I
okay.
had it so prepared too.
Bring Tyler on. He's an adult. I got in trouble for. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I did, but gave him an adult beverage when I thought he was. Well, I thought he was like 19 or 20. I gave him a beverage, and it was adult beverage, and he was like 15, and I didn't realize it. And
I'm not gonna lie. I had like I had at least 4 years on him that didn't belong there, and I'm like,
I thought he looked young. I don't know how y'all thought he was older.
He's very mature, and he
But
puts up with all of us.
But he looks
More
like he's
mature than
12.
all of us. No.
I'm trying to grow the beard out. Hopefully it helps.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Max
You can't
just
see
said
it.
you
I'm
need to grow a
blonde,
beard.
so. For
All right,
us,
Tyler.
Tell us about your experience, Tyler.
it was pretty fortunate through most of it. We had a propane heater in the reptile room for whenever we had the rolling blackouts. But Dad's house with the reptile room is actually right in front of the water treatment plant in our city that was down. So we had power on our lines because they were trying to get them up. But he also, all of his pipes are frozen. I'm pretty sure he got water back finally today. Other than that, we've all been in boil notice in my city. It's been rough. So far, I haven't had any losses on my animals, but we're still checking them really closely.
That's good. I mean, no losses. That's the the oddity out of most of the people. Most of the people probably had losses here. I know when we get to Max had it rough, so we'll save Max for last. Plus, it's fun to make him sit there and wait.
No, you're not going to.
Yeah, let him wait.
Max's head might explode, or he might just
Oh
leave.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
let him wait.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad, Tyler, that y'all didn't have much loss. That's good.
Yeah, it's definitely been really great for us, but all the orders are stacking up on feeders needing to go out for people. It's hard right now.
Oh, by the way, Seth, thank you for helping that guy out. That was actually funny. There was a lady that I'm in one of these marketing groups that we do like event marketing, and one of their members reached out and said they had a bearded dragon and needed feeders, and Seth took care of them for me. They were in bronze, so I appreciate that. He reached out to me about that.
I let him come check out the whole collection. I blew his mind, dude. They got
Yeah, he's already geeking out, ready to go to the shows.
He's like, oh my god.
Yeah, he said he's gonna give you some eggs out of the garden. So
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. He was supposed to come by today with the fresh eggs, and he slacked on me.
Nice.
All right, so let's try to get everybody in here. Who are we going to bring in next?
Let's
Not
bring
Max,
Max
bring
in
Kori
so he'll
in.
calm down.
We're not bringing in Max.
Yeah, bring Kori. Yeah,
Bring Kori in.
That's fine.
All right. So we've had Kori on here before. It's Kori Martin from Kori Martin's Reptiles. If I can get the screen to allow me to click on her face. Here we go. Maybe.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
Hey, Kori. So I was following Kori's adventures over this last week on Facebook. I know it was rough for you.
I don't know that following's the right term. I'm pretty sure stalking.
I didn't stalk Kori.
You-
No, because you would tell me what happened to
You
her.
were pretty close to stalking.
You would tell me what happened to her. So it was
I
good.
will say it's the first time I've ever seen a bathtub filled up with snow on purpose.
That was
That was
amazing.
brilliant.
Yeah, that
The
was
amount of
awesome.
snow you had to collect to fill that bathtub was
Oh,
amazing.
it took a long, long time.
I have
And we had
bathtub in.
all melted too. It was amazing. We spent an entire day boiling snow to melt it down so that we could flush our toilets. But yeah, so we started losing power Sunday night into Monday morning. And it started when the rolling blackouts started. We had turned our fireplace on overnight because we were worried that if the gas fireplace, we wouldn't be able to start it again if we didn't have it going. And we lost natural gas overnight. So like the fire went out, and fortunately we got up and noticed it, but we dodged a huge bullet there. Like our house could have potentially filled with gas. But it didn't even occur to me that natural gas might fail. That one was a huge surprise. But we started what were supposed to be rolling blackouts, and by about 9 o'clock in the morning, we just kind of got stuck in off. And in addition to not having power, cell phone service wasn't working for us. It was a huge mess. We I think went about 2 days where we maybe only had a couple of 1 hour windows of power being on and really quickly trying to, get everything taken care of before it shut off again. We did not have a generator. My reptile room got down to about 55 degrees, which is actually kind of amazing that it wasn't any lower. It's on the second story of my house. So that kind of helped us a little bit with heat rising up to the second floor. I had a UPS backup for my incubator. Obviously that was gone after about an hour. I had one clutch in there. Pretty sure that's gone. It's still in there just in case there's a chance, but I don't think there's much of any chance. We covered all the rats in the garage with sleeping bags to try to save some heat for them. It was terrifying. My husband and I spent a night after that first night with our gas fireplace. We spent the next night basically sleeping in shifts so that we could keep our gas fireplace on all night to give her some kind of heat. Next day we lost water too. And so that's when we started boiling snow. I have 4 kids, so there were 6 of us in the house, and that's a lot of toilet flushes we had to get through. So we got through all that. We lost the food in our fridge, but thankfully our freezers are okay. So my whole freezer full of feeders and stuff was fine. So that was good. I've got a big box of feeders that was supposed to be coming in this week that I'm sure got stuck at FedEx somewhere. And so those are probably all going to be toast when they get here. But, I other than the clutch in my incubator, I lost, a handful of rat pinks, but that was about it so far. I had a feeling my carpets were going to be okay because they can kind of do colder temperatures anyway. But I was a lot more nervous about the ball pythons. And so far, knock on wood, everything's okay. They look like they're doing all right now, even though they had extended periods at low temperatures. I have a friend in another state who's sending me some Baytril so I can have that on hand in case I have any signs of RI. I can, start that really fast. We totally let it mellow. But we have 6 people worth of poop going on, so we
do have to bring Max in.
Oh,
Max is having some frozen toilet issues.
Yeah,
we'll bring Max in last. He can talk about his poop last. Because Drew's been sitting there quiet waiting, and Max took forever to get his camera ready, so it's Max's fault.
Yeah.
So we water and power. It's all things considered. We came out pretty okay. Every time we got power back on, I was frantically texting Maria and Jack and Heidi and Rob and everyone I could think of how they were doing. But yeah, it's been stressful. So. We're okay.
Have people, you definitely have people that have been following and wishing you well with all the craziness. How have the kids handled all of this? So
I have my older 2 boys both have autism, and we had one day where it got to be a little too much for one of them and had a big meltdown. But overall, they the kids were actually total troopers. Awesome. And they did really well. So I was super proud of them.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
So stressful is definitely a good word to capitalize this last week for everybody.
Yeah. It was trying to make the decision of our temperatures cold enough now where I need to start bagging everyone up and moving them elsewhere. There's no clear line when you hit that point. And so it was constantly trying to figure out are we there yet? Is now the time? All that kind of stuff.
Yep. It's exactly how we were when we first found them. Rachel and I were, it got really tense actually between the 2 of us because we're both kind of well, it's 50 degrees in here. We've got to do something. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't tell anybody earlier is my generator was in storage. I didn't go get it because I didn't expect to lose power. Well, my storage is a mile from my house. It didn't have power either. And it has electric gate.
Well, that's another thing that I want everyone around the country to understand. Texas did not the people of Texas did not expect their entire power grid to shut down.
Right.
And so whereas someone any other state, your power grid expands dozens of states. Texas power grid expands Texas. Yep. And when it fell apart, it and it shit the bed on everybody.
I read a thing that said that we were seconds to minutes away from a collapse that would have shut the entire state down for months, they said.
Yeah.
And when they started shutting off the grid, they were able to save it. So it was really close to being a whole lot worse than what it was.
Well, yeah, because rolling blackouts turned into blackouts.
Yeah, really fast. And it surprised me, just like the burden was not equitably shared. Like some people, had nothing and because they were close to key infrastructure or whatever. And then other people were like almost entirely without power. And it was like, no one knew going into that, like where you would be in it. And no one knew that it was going to be long-term. And it was just the lack of, communication and all of that through all of this. Cause like, we just didn't know what was happening.
Well, the crazy thing is too, Rob, I know y'all are close to Houston. I have a friend that lives just outside of Houston, and she posted a picture of downtown Houston all lit up.
Oh, yeah.
Bright and, just burning electricity away, and blackout all the way from her till downtown. Like it just, things didn't make sense,
Yep. The stadium for our daughter's school district, they have a huge stadium that like 5 high schools share right near us. You could see the lights from here. It was on the whole time. They had
And
power.
there's a car dealership.
The neighborhood that
in
it's in the middle of. Yeah.
Wow.
The car dealership in the front of the neighborhood had power. The whole parking lot was lit up. And
meanwhile, people freezing death in their houses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Let's go ahead. Robert, you want to introduce Drew?
Yeah. So next we'll bring in Drew Schulz. Schulz, I think is how you say it, right, Drew? Drew has the Learning Zoo, which is in Conroe. I've been up there once. Drew's bought a couple of mouse and rat racks from me. I didn't get to go last time. I had one of my guys deliver it because I just couldn't get away. But he's got a very, very interesting thing going on up there, and we'll let him tell his story of what he does and then what he experienced.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. The racks are great, by the way. I love them.
Thank you.
So we, I did my best to prepare. Did a little bit here and there. Moved plants inside. Moved outdoor animals inside. We have kind of a little bit of everything. So I had to go out and winterize the pig shelter and get straw in there for them, and then brought in iguanas, tortoises, all that. And I put pretty much everything in one room so that I could keep that as warm as possible. Put a blanket up over the door, double paned window, all of that, just so we could try to keep everything as warm as possible if the power went out. But I don't have a generator. I did not have the chance to get one. And I had a propane heater that was my brother's house. He brought it over Tuesday afternoon after I'd already gotten power back. So we could have been a little bit more prepared, but things worked out, thankfully. I lost power Monday morning around 10:30 and didn't get it back until 1 a.m. on Tuesday. So 15-ish hours. And I was tracking temperatures and keeping an eye on everything. It got down to 49 in the room I'd put everybody in. And I had, tortoises in there. I had snakes, geckos, bearded dragons, pretty much everything in there. And then I had my feeders out in their room off of the garage, but I wasn't really worried about them. But yeah, we got down to about 49 and then came back. I was expecting to lose power again at some point. Even now, knock on wood, it's kind of like I'm expecting the lights to go off any minute that I, think about it. But no, we've been lucky since then. Power came back on, and other than the well tank freezing over and not having running water until it thawed out a little bit more the next day, we were good. I was able to, heat some water if I needed to for, just like general stuff. I was able to get the space heater in that room running to get everyone back up to normal temperatures. And thankfully, I didn't have anything in an incubator. I had a bunch of quail chicks that hatched about 3 days before this, and I was convinced I was going to lose half of them when the brooder went out, but somehow they were all fine. Like they must have all huddled together and kept warm, which was good. If I had this happen 4 days earlier, they would have all died in the egg. So honestly, I'm just grateful that things went as well as they did, considering, how bad it could have been. But I also don't have anything super sensitive. I don't have any green trees or dead geckos or anything really delicate.
Well, Drew, you also do your wife, girlfriend, what is she, fiance?
Yeah, fiance.
You guys have y'all sell feeders also, right?
Yeah. So we have
So-
our feeders all in a room off the garage. We've got quail, rats, mice, dubia, and we keep our sugar gliders out there too because otherwise they make the house smell terrible. But other than the roaches, I wasn't super worried. Like that room's insulated. I had a heater going on in there until the power went out, and I checked it. It got down to about 45, 50 degrees. And the next morning it was warm in there again, and the roaches were fine. Like I checked, and I couldn't really believe it, but they were all like, they were sluggish, but they were moving around. I didn't have any mound of dead insects in there. And then all the warm-blooded stuff did just fine.
And it's just too crazy that, you know, none of us knew how to prepare for this. That's the weird thing. Like we all figured what the things we have in place will work for winter.
Well, and the thing is we were prepared for what we thought we were getting.
Yeah, for winter.
And then when the shit hit the fan and everything changed in a matter of an hour, we realized, oh crap, we're not ready.
Yeah.
And like at that point, though, I mean, at one point we tried to walk to the grocery store because
we were going to walk a mile and a half because I was like, I don't know if we can drive there.
Because I mean, we weren't prepared.
So.
Yeah, I didn't leave my house for 4 days after this until the roads melted a little bit, just because I didn't need to and I didn't really want to go anywhere.
Well, that's another thing I think people outside of the South can't understand. When we talk about snow and ice on the roads, it's not the same as like the night before they laid down salt and they came out and they plowed them. There was snow and the ice on the roads for days. Like there were some tracks, and if you had a big truck, you could get through them. But if you're in a little car, it's not really worth the risk to end up in a ditch. And a lot of people ended up in ditches. I mean, and in reality, before all this went down, there was the horrific thing that happened in Fort Worth on the interstate from just a little bit of ice.
Yeah. I'm sure that Texas probably said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean that whole wreck was just a tiny bit of ice. That had nothing to compare to what came a few days later.
I mean, our city, Pineville and Alexandria, both put out an alert that said, if you end up in a ditch, we cannot.
Yeah, the sheriff's deputies will not be there. They can't.
They were like, you are stuck until. Who knows?
There was a picture in Austin right there about where Tyler's at. Just cars piled up on curve, you know, on a hilly curve where these vehicles just can't handle it on these icy roads.
As recently as this morning, we had ice this thick on the road in front of my house.
Jeez.
Right.
Wow. Same for us. It just got
and they just don't have the equipment to deal with it.
I saw a video locally of an 18-wheeler that had to end up getting pulled up an incline on our highway by a big, like a diesel pickup truck, because the 18-wheeler couldn't get the traction to get up the hill. I was like, yeah, these 18-wheelers driving around like nothing, because I'm sure up north they can drive around, deliver stuff. That's fine. They get down here, I'm like, you can't just keep driving like you were in Virginia or in Ohio.
Nobody here has chains to put on their wheels. I mean,
no.
We have chains for pulling you out of a ditch, but we don't have chains to put on our tires.
Yes.
And so the other thing I think that is different with how this went is, so like our whole supply chain got thrown off because of the roads not being drivable. So like grocery stores are empty. Like you can't get food still. You can't get gasoline. Like my whole area is under a boil notice, and like, you know, good luck finding water. I mean, my water is blue and tastes like chlorine, but like I can't find bottled water anywhere.
Yeah, there's none of that in Louisiana that I saw today.
There's no milk.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right. So let's go ahead and finally bring in Max. He sat there nice and calm. So we just had Max on the podcast. Everybody should be familiar with Max from Max's View on YouTube. I think probably out of all of us, Max, you probably had it the worst of all of us. And that's one reason I wanted to wait and bring you in. Because I want you to be able to tell everybody what happened to you. It was heartbreaking to have to watch every post you made over the last week.
Hey, I get the whole screen. So I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I started off on my back foot already, because before Abilene ran out of water and shut down the whole water system, the park behind my house shut down all of its water, or it started breaking lines, and so they shut down my water. So I get a call the night before everything started escalating that things were already bad for me. And then I wasn't able to work. I took some photos and I would share some things. The water in my bathtub and toilet froze. And I had space heaters because last week I've got a twin split system and that went out. And so, and what really sucks is I'm about a month away from moving to a place that has a backup propane heater with better central heat. And so I felt really personally prepared for my own safety because, there were 6 people in my county who died just from the cold. One man passed away in his recliner and his wife was right next to him and she's in the hospital here now. And so I felt personally prepared. I had the clothing for me. I had, I was prepared for myself, but as far as the added element of the animals, I brought all of them inside, and myself and all the mammals, we ended up sleeping in the bed together. And, I would text people photos of, my situation because it was the 3 dogs, the 2 cats, the piglet, and then the rat broke out of his cage, and I woke up Monday morning with a rat by my family jewels, which was, but I mean, and all the animals were just cool with it and just keeping each other warm. But, I couldn't exactly bring in my rattlesnakes and, put them against my chest. And, but I took, pretty heavy losses, animals that I had rescued, animals that I've put on my channel and made videos on, my bearded dragon that I took around in a limo. I lost her, and so animals that over the week after it happened, Monday or Tuesday, the days are kind of blurring together, but then it was breakers were blowing in my house trying to run space heaters. If you could see all the extension cords I've got them running across the house, and then I couldn't even work throughout the week because I was sitting there trying to maintain things around the house, and I couldn't run the computer and the heaters at the same time, and just trying to, and so any room that didn't have a heater became frozen. And so my priority was obviously the animals that remained when I got more consistent power, and I started cooking rooms to, 80 degrees just to, if when I lost power again, that way there was more to more heat to lose. And so, certain things were always kind of on my list, such as a generator and such as, gas heaters, different things like that. And it was, I'm a slow nickel kind of person. So it was tough. Those things were kind of put off because I wasn't expecting it quite yet. And it's, because I was trying to make advances at different places in my life that I didn't think I'd need a generator, or if I did need a generator that I would have even if I didn't have a chance to go get them, I just didn't expect this in the winter. And so it was a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. And you sit there, and I know a lot of people share the feeling of you can't help but feel like overwhelmingly guilty because whether, these animals relied on you, and these animals, you were their caretaker. And so you sit there and you wrestle with that. And that was something that I wrestled with throughout the week because I didn't have power. I didn't have work to do. I was stuck at home, and Brooke and the kids are over at her parents. And so you sit there and that's all you can think about. You think about each animal you lost. You think about, what you should have done, what you could have done. And, hindsight's, I guess, 2021. And you just kind of get stuck in that rut of, what you, should have, could have, would have done. And then, my last video, or one of my most recent videos, first of all, my most recent video is a $700 litter box. I don't want anyone to think I went out and bought that right before a blizzard. Yeah, that was a birthday present that somebody happened upon me, and I wanted to make a video because why not? We love bioactives. We love doing less work for the animals so we can spend more time with them. So I don't want anyone to go, who's Max? Oh, well, why is he buying litter boxes before Blizzard? But before that, there was the Why Do Reptile Show videos suck? And the big thing that I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to show and wanted more people to showcase in the video, and what, despite all of this, I think has really been brought out, is the community aspect of the reptile community. Because my favorite reptile show video is Danny Mendez, is when he came down to Texas to film the Herps, because he does talk about that. I believe at that time, Sean had donated a bunch of money to Autism Speaks, Autism Walks, Walk for Autism, something like that. And that's another point I wanted to touch on, is one of the animals that has survived is a hognose that was Domino's, and I named it Domino. And Sean, even before this foundation, has been doing amazing things for this community for a long time, for a very long time. And so I think I love that snake, and I think it's a huge testament that it survived, because it's, even though now the foundation is at the forefront and there's a lot of attention on it now, it's like not everything has gotten attention. Jay Antonio, when they had the hurricane, and that's and I think a hurricane is a great example, because has anybody looked at somebody from Katrina, Hurricane Laura, or anything and said, oh, well, you should have been better prepared?
We actually got that.
Exactly.
We actually, yeah, people tell us that all the time, and I'm like, but we were as prepared as we could be.
Exactly. And so you still have to remember that this stuff, infrastructure is only so set up for these kind of situations. And we didn't know that we were going back to pioneer times. But I love the community aspect. I love seeing all of that. And immediately, that's what kind of was my immediate thought process. And I called Sean, because if I know I'm going through stuff like this, I want to help people as quickly as possible. I want to help people not kind of go through the same stuff. And so that was my immediate process. And so when I got the message from last night, let me pull it up. So Josh had messaged me and he said, hey Max, I wanted to touch base because you were nominated as a person to help with our fundraiser. And I was like, okay, well, how can I help? And then I started reading it and I had to go back. I was like, wait. And so I was one of the recipients of that, and it kind of blew me away. I first of all, whoever nominated me, thank you. That is, because it's not 1/10 of what well, I'm not even going to say that, because the monetary aspect of those animals don't matter, but it's, but just the fact that I never imagined myself being a recipient of the graciousness of the community. And I was floored. And, I called my brother, and I was supposed to go to bed at 11. I ended up being so happy. I played Call of Duty with him because I had power, and just talking with him, and, and didn't have the
that
first
was probably very good for your soul too.
Oh
have
yeah,
that kind of break from everything.
Oh yeah, well, and see, on a personal level, I had a beer last night, and I was like, great, I don't have to worry about dehydrating. I have plenty of bottled water, but I also had the life straw. So before I got the bottled water, before I could leave the house, I was melting down snow, and then I would just suck it through this little life straw. And then I'd put it in the baggie and I'd give it to the geckos, because I still want them to have the cleanest water. And, it was, and the dogs, they just ate the snow. But yeah, it was, I felt prepared. I've got canned goods. I've got MREs that my dad gave me some time ago. And so, yeah, it was just a whole nother aspect of it. And yeah, over the long term, I think is what I'm wanting to focus as I build everything back up, is, being prepared for something to go wrong for the long term, because I feel like I owed it to the animals, and I owe it to whatever animals I owe in the future.
I think
one thing,
Travis has learned a lesson from all this, like going forward. I think everybody has learned a lesson, not just in Texas, but community wide, that you can be as prepared as you want or as possible, but you still need to just always have backup plans in place as well, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing I wanted to bring up, everybody talks about being prepared. So there was a post today by Dave Kaufman, who lives in Minnesota. That's an area where they're prepared for ice and snow and all this. And 3 days ago, Dave was offering to help people in Texas, send heat packs, help people out. And then was it yesterday? He woke up to his house being 40 degrees because his power went out, and he ended up all of his snakes were fine except for all the snakes in brumation, and he ended up losing all but 2 bull snakes. He lost all of his hognoses, king snakes, every other bull snake. All of his colubrids died except for 2 bull snakes. So every colubrid project he had planned for years, he lost in one night. And that's a guy that, I mean, he's prepared for this kind of stuff up there, but the power went out while he was asleep. He woke up and it was 40 degrees. And so, I mean, even best laid plans, shit still happens.
Yeah. If you know Dave or you follow Dave, you know that colubrids are really his thing. And for him to lose those bull snakes, he had some beautiful bull snakes. And you could just reading the post from him, it was almost hard to finish it because, you know, knowing what a great guy Dave is, it was rough.
And see, it's weird on the YouTube aspect, kind of opening up about that kind of stuff, because you do want to share that, but at the same time, the last thing you want is to be judged. And, you know, I've, especially like among my peers, haven't had one bit of judgment. And that's kind of where I would rather have the judgment is, you know, because I want people to hold me accountable and say, hey, let's do better. But I haven't gotten a bit of that because because I wouldn't give that to anyone, because nobody could have expected the weather to turn like it did. And so for Dave to make a post like that, it's the whole YouTube, Instagram, Facebook thing, you know, we all want to show our best face. And so to show our failures, you know, I've made so many posts that I've turned around and deleted. I recorded a video that I said, no, I'm not going to make this video, and trying to talk about the situation, and you kind of find yourself at a loss for words.
Well, and I don't, and you said earlier, when it comes to something like this, I don't see this as a failure. I don't see anything that's happened to any of y'all or to Dave as a failure. It's bad luck. It's really bad luck. And it's one of those things that when you're keeping live animals, something like this can happen. The problem is it just happened to a lot of people all at one time. You know, and
real quick, I'm sorry, and if my audio messed up.
No, you're fine.
One of the biggest things that I've taken away from this hobby over the years is a lot of people are like what Max is saying. They don't want to share their failures. This isn't a failure by anybody in particular, anybody's fault, but we don't talk about our losses. And you know, I posted something a few years ago about feeding my Ackies crickets that were on some succulents that nobody knew were toxic, and it killed my whole colony of Ackies. People don't talk about that, but that can be used as a learning experience going forward. And I think having this out there to show what we can do to be better, more prepared. I mean, obviously this is not normal, but there are things that if we do get cold, you're going to lose power. Things happen. You know, hurricane season and storms, you're going to lose power. So I think we can take from this a little bit of that too. You know, have a backup plan, like Seth said too. A lot of people I saw that were on groups that have one bearded dragon or one ball python were saying that their house is getting down to the 40s. Go sit in your car and run the heater for a couple of hours. Wait for the power to come back on. There's things that you have to do outside the box. You have to think of that way. Get hot water in bottles, stick them in coolers. There's a lot of that stuff. And I know Max, a couple of other people and I talked about this, and James Bergoli brought this up, that I'm going to get with Max maybe this week and try to do some of that stuff. What are tips and tricks to take care of your animals in a situation when this comes up? But again, you know, this is something we can take and turn into a positive thing. It's still devastating and we're not done. It's going to take a while to recover from this. But I think we can, you know, talk about this more openly. It sucks when you lose an animal that you've spent so much time and effort working on a project or something like that. Yes, it's an animal. And the more that we understand that these aren't dollar signs, that these are actually living creatures that we're in charge of taking care of,
That's right.
we need community back on that level instead of selling skin. You know what I'm saying? You're selling skin. That's not what you're selling. You're selling a live animal that that person's responsible for caring for. Show those mistakes that we've made before. It can teach the new generation of up and coming hobbyists what not to do. You know.
Absolutely. No, there's definitely changes that I know I'm going to be making going forward, that, things like making sure I have a generator on hand. I was definitely like a cocky Texan going into this, like, hey, I don't need to worry about this. I'm not in hurricane areas. Like, you know what I mean? And, it was a sucky lesson to learn, but, I'm definitely going to be changing some behaviors. I'm going to be making sure that I have enough bags for every animal in my collection.
That happened with Rachel and I.
Yeah, just some of those little things that I just, thought I didn't have to worry about.
Just imagine if it would have been peak season for you, Kori, and you'd have had a full.
I know. Thank God.
I've got 50 eggs cooking right now that I was just like, oh my God, I'm just into the beginning of the season, but we've already got quite a bit cooking.
Yeah.
Rachel and I had snakes in snake bags, in pillowcases, in deli cups, in totes. We put them in anything we could find because we thought we had enough snake bags, and we moved about 47 snakes, and we only had about 30 snake bags. Come to find out.
Robert, how's that one clutch looking? You said you had one clutch cooking that was like a week. And
we pulled it out yesterday and took the press and seal off because it was time, and it looks good. It's dimpled. The eggs are still white.
Right.
They feel it got down to 64 in the incubator. When we found it, it was 64 in the incubator.
Dang.
So, and we, using hot water bottles, it would get up to 88, 89. A couple times it got up to like 93, and Rachel would have to open the door and let it cool
off. And then you get all kind of fluctuations going along with that.
There was a lot of fluctuations. It was so stressful. I was damn near in tears trying to keep it somewhat constant. And I'm so grateful for the tips I did get. I mean, hopefully they survive. We'll find out in a couple of weeks.
That's the two things that saved me was my, moving forward for anybody else that's trying to prepare for, future things, is having the battery backup, and then obviously the generator to be able to let the battery backup recover.
Yeah. That's where I got screwed, was once my battery died, I didn't have a way to get it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of whole home generators sold in Texas this year.
Max just lose power again.
Scheduled for Generac. We're ready to go.
Yeah. It's the only reason we have a generator is because we live 20 miles from the beach. So when a hurricane hits, we get it for real here. Okay. So that's the only reason I had a generator. I had it serviced during hurricane season. And when I put it in the backyard and got it set up, it would not run. It was so cold, I couldn't get it to start. So I actually went to Andy Sampson, 6S and more. He's another vendor. He lives in the same neighborhood. I sent him a message, and he happened to have some carburetor fluids. So I have some in my garage. My garage is not exactly what you would call organized, and I couldn't find it. So I went and got it from Andy and got the generator started, but it wouldn't run on. It would only run on half choke. Well, I knew that wasn't going to last, and after about 12 hours, it fouled itself out, wouldn't run anymore. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on another generator, and it worked out. But you guys see Chad, DBA Chad Petrush, that is commenting. Chad's had it really bad. Chad's probably my most prolific customer. He's probably bought more racks from me than anybody. Chad lives in an apartment complex on the west side, and they were without power, without water. They had a fire in the unit next to him. Then they had the sprinkler system bust in the apartment complex and I think he said it blew a hole in his wall. He sent me a picture earlier. They had to take all their snakes. He's got 80 something snakes. They took them to Gina, who is a rescuer. They do a lot with Gina. They took them to Gina's house, and they have ball pythons, boas. You see, he says it's bad. He and I've talked about it quite a bit, but they had it real rough, and they're still. I don't know, Chad. You can tell us. don't think you guys have electricity or water yet, do you? I mean, he'll comment over there in a minute. I know earlier today he didn't have water yet, so there was a lot of people that had it a lot worse than me, and I feel blessed. The fire department's blocking his building now, so he couldn't even get in. So yeah. Anyway, sorry I got off on a side tangent there, guys.
He does have electricity, but no water.
Yeah, it sucks. So,
the community was just incredibly helpful. There was a post in the female herpers group, and someone told me how to get my fireplace going from a battery. And just that one little thing of like getting my fireplace going is probably what saved my collection.
Wow.
Yeah, because that was able to produce a little bit more heat. Little things like that through it, and then obviously the outpouring of support afterward has been just pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really shown what this community will do for one another. I mean, we all saw it with JT and his house fire, and everything that's been several different things that's happened since. So every time I see you guys laughing, I have to go check the other chat.
No, James is getting
keeps showing up full blast.
Yeah, the only way I can get Max to show up is like this. His whole face. There it is.
I think it's because he's in this chat twice.
That's crazy.
And now his mic doesn't work, so he's just talking to himself.
It's because
we don't hear you.
I think it's because there's two.
Oh, if I add the other one.
Yes.
So one is for volume.
I
And
didn't
want
to say anything because I didn't want to interrupt. I get fussed at for interrupting.
Let's say, when have you ever worried about interrupting, Katie? Come on.
Hey, I'm trying to be better. Lent was Wednesday. It started. Y'all are gonna make me break.
Lent is in my belly button.
Y'all
Oh God.
Now you can hear me.
See him, though. That's better.
So now we just
Look,
get Max's
I'm
voice.
trying to
We
give
can't
up
see it when
jumping to anger so quickly. Y'all are gonna make this very hard for me for the next.
Why are
30
we?
minutes.
I want to say something real quick. Why are we not hearing from Rachel?
I'm just listening to all of y'all. Sorry, I get lost in the conversation.
She's just happy to be here.
John Grant
John
actually
Grant,
said
whose
Rachel
name we
was-
haven't. Yeah.
I know.
John Grant.
Stop it.
That's another one who had it rough. John and I were talking the other day. He's had a rough winter overall because they're in northern Oklahoma and they've been cold a lot. He's had a rough time with his room losing power and stuff. Not outside of this whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This winter was rough for many before this storm came along.
Yeah. So anyway, let's let Rachel say a little bit. Rachel, baby, got anything to
Well,
say?
babe, you told all our stories. You started them. I had to cut you off to even finish them.
Well,
No,
Welcome
it's-
to my
sorry.
world.
I know, right?
So
Shut up, James.
I'm
First of all,
gonna
said it's all
stab
been
you in the
stressful.
eyeball.
So
Hopefully
Rachel,
we're coming up on the better side of it.
Rachel, Katie, and Lori should do the poop podcast.
Yep.
Really, poop?
I don't. So Rachel wasn't there that night, so she's not
Oh,
aware of
no.
this. But we're not
James
supposed
is
to
gonna
bring
be the
it up.
producer. Oh, my bad.
If
my
we-
bad.
But
Hashtag
if we
poop
bring this up, somebody else is going to steal it. So we're not allowed to talk about it on air, Sean.
My
Were
bad.
you not paying attention that night?
Probably not.
You were probably at the other table.
So JT John Grant said he hates it because he's up to 15 animals, losing 15 animals from the outage at the end of December.
And that's something that's very important what he just said there.
Holy cow.
Happened in December and he's still losing animals. And that's what's going to happen with people here in Texas right now. And that's another thing that people don't realize from out of the area. Like it's going to be a long-term issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris Burns, I'm not sure where he's located.
I see the post.
Yeah, that's another thing with space heaters is you've really got to be careful, especially like Max. I don't know if you're even still on here or not, but
He's not.
Okay, well, maybe he'll hear this later and we'll text him and remind him. When you're plugging in space heaters, you've really got to be careful because of where you are in the room and whether or not they're going to spark. Northeast Oklahoma is where Chris is located.
I
know. We definitely, sorry, James, I was gonna say, we definitely worried about our space heater in the Reptile. Constantly checking it. That was one of my main.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
There it goes.
Rachel sounds like old Robert.
Rachel also say Rachel has the old Robert internet now.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
We're gonna get you wired headphones so that you can both be on the same computer.
Hers are wired, but I couldn't get it to work.
So you need a splitter like I have.
Mhm.
I planned ahead.
Yeah. We'll talk about that offline.
One thing I want to do any of y'all put in any sort of like sprinkler system? Because I thought about at some point putting in a sprinkler system in my reptile room just for fear of house fire. Nobody.
Would be a good idea.
I just wonder how expensive that's got to be to put in all.
This is something he's talked about probably for close to 6 months now.
Problem with that is if you have tub and you do a sprinkler system and it fails, you're going to lose your entire collection to the flooding.
To the drowning.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Like
then
Mike
also,
Brizzy, his ceiling collapsed and drowned all of his rats.
oh shit.
I think he said he had 2 rats survive.
I just
That's the tough one with sprinkler.
the other option is that my whole house burns down, and that scares the shit out of me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with kids in the house.
Well, yeah, and then like
Especially when
like,
all of our bedrooms are on the second floor.
Well, and after this past year, there were like 2 different people who had houses burned down because of all this, because of their collections. So I just, our original post, it's funny. Our original question for the week was, and it was last week when we were supposed to have Jay and Tanya on, but then Jay and Tanya, like all of us went through all this as well, being now over there in Texas, was what are certain things that you are not, that you should be prepared for, but are not prepared for. And then this happened. and now we all know that the next ice age apparently was one of the things we needed to add to the list.
Yeah. Somebody needed to find Elsa from Frozen 3 because we don't want that shit filmed in Texas.
But it's just, I don't know how we could, like I said before, I don't know how we could have prepared for this. And we had it with the hurricanes coming through this last year in 2020. You sit here just going, God, I hope we don't get hit by something. And so it's scary, but then you think about every part of the country has something like that. You think about California, those people that have wildfires, that they can't stop a wildfire when it's coming. There's no preparing for that, no matter how much they try.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's a scary thing, and I guess it's scarier for all of us because it's not just our lives. If it was just us in the house, pack up in your car, go away. But we can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like what Max said earlier. You feel guilty because you have all these animals that are relying on you. You have to make the decisions for the animals. They don't have that ability for themselves. But the really awesome thing is that we're all coming together. And I mean, we're going to get through it. It's going to suck every step of the way, but we're going to get through it.
Well, and that's, I worry about all the stories we're going to hear over the next couple weeks as they really start to come out. And I don't want to downplay the human aspect. There are a lot of people we're going to find out over the next week or two how many people have lost their lives due to this. I mean, cutting off power to entire cities is fine when it's us and we all have a way of somehow heating our house. But there were a lot of people who don't have that. No matter how much you're like, well, they need to be prepared. They didn't have the money to be prepared. And then all of a sudden you cut off their power.
Right.
I'm very scared about what we're going to see just in general of people across Texas and Louisiana.
Yeah. I
in Arkansas, in Arkansas, because Matt Littlefield will get pissed if I don't mention it. Arkansas. We're here for you, Arkansas. Sad. All 4 of you. Love you guys.
All 4 cousins. Friend who lives in an older part of Houston here, who lives in an older house, and he had probably 30 or 40 snakes in his collection, and he lost 90% of them because he had a standby generator. He was at work when it started getting really cold because he was working at night, and the generator didn't come on like it was supposed to. And he has an older house that doesn't have great insulation. By the time he got home, it was in the upper 30s in his snake room. And he sent me a picture last night of a tote full of dead snake. It was terrible.
I just posted. I don't know who it is because it only says Facebook user. So unfortunately, I don't know who it is. But they talked about being prepared for their betas. And I do as the other day as the power would were multiple times where our power would just like
Oh.
go down.
This is Tony.
Oh, is it Tony?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's Tony.
added him
It's
to
Tony.
we added him to the group earlier.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, the betas make sense, but I thought it was to us, but I
yeah.
didn't.
No, he's made a couple of
Yeah.
comments
Yeah,
about his
you don't.
fish.
You definitely don't want to lose those betas.
No.
What's up,
But,
Tony?
But as every time the power in our house would surge down and back up, my ass would pucker. I was like, I'm just sitting there like holding my house. I'm like, don't go out, don't go out. And then I would look at my like 55-gallon fish tank, thinking, I lost fish when the hurricanes came through and the house was warm and the tank got cold. I'm gonna have popsicles if this happens again right now. And it's like fish people. This had to hit fish people huge.
The tarantula as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
hit
that's
a
not
lot
really
of the,
human.
Looks
Local
like Tyler
area.
pretty much his entire collection. So,
wow.
that's and Maria just posted that. We were talking about this yesterday. Her mom actually, they had to get their neighbor to the hospital. At first, she thought he was having a heart attack, but EMS wouldn't come out and pick him up. So they had to get him medical care. It was crazy.
Hmm.
You know, like I said, a lot of when we're thinking about the general public will think, well, y'all are just talking about losing snakes, whatever the hell. And it obviously means more to us. If we lose our snakes, it means way more to us. But at the same time, I don't want to downplay, again, the people aspect. There were a lot of people that this storm is going to change their lives. And it's funny, this storm on top of COVID. I mean, it's...
Well, and the thing is we've had in Louisiana, we've had two hurricanes. And this is our second winter storm. I know this is the second winter storm that Texas has had this year.
Yeah.
Like, this is so unprecedented. And quite frankly, I'm tired of living through historic events. Like, let's just move on and be normal for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I teach my fifth graders at school, look, this is history in the making. And, you know,
I'm done being historical.
I'm done. Let's be regular.
Well, I
and
messaged
be okay.
I messaged Robert the other day. I said, this is the first time I've ever said this, but God, I can't wait till summer.
Yeah. And I said, no, I'm good with spring. I fucking hate summer.
Yeah.
I'm not built for it.
Spring will bring monsoons. The first monsoon to ever hit the South.
He looks horrible in the spring when everything starts to bloom and his allergies kick
fuck
in.
pollen.
He
I hate plant sperm.
He doesn't do well in the spring.
Well, next week the beaches are going to be 75 degrees.
Yeah, well, I'll be at work.
And
you can always come
we'll
to
be in
Corpus.
Corpus with you.
and that is why I'm camping on the beach.
Corpus is yes.
Real quick, I know we're on that real quick. Max and I talked. I know that we're trying to do this thing where we're raising money for everyone, but I know you guys have seen the news with the Sea Life Center in South Padre with the stunted sea turtles. We're going down Monday to help the Sea Life Center with that for all week while we're down in Corpus. I think Max is going to try to make it down Wednesday and film that. So if you see that pop up and you want to donate to something else, that's a great outlet for you, is to donate to the Texas Sea Life Center. Amanda and Tim and their volunteers do an amazing job. They've been friends of ours for years and years and years. And so they're, I think she said they took another 56 in today. Another 56 sea turtles came in today. They've had 500 or 600 go through that facility in a week. And they're trying to get them out as long as the water gets warm. So again, real quick, I know that it's kind of diverted, but if you want to donate to something else, that's a great thing, because we talk about our captive bred reptiles, but the native wildlife is suffering as well. Native animals in this area have never had anything like this either. So dealing with sea turtles and that many coming through is absolutely mind-boggling. So
Hey, Sean, move your head.
Which way?
Either way. So that sea turtle that's behind you, that was photographed by Gary McCallie.
Yep. Actually, all those pictures, those are all Gary's.
Yep, that's from the Texas Sea Life Center when they were recording or when they were releasing sea turtles. So they've been doing a lot of work for a long time, and that is what I want to. That is like an inspiration for what I'm trying to recreate when I make that video. Is that release right there? So, but yeah, that's. I talked to Catherine before, so that's a Texas Sea Life Center sea turtle.
Yeah, that's part of my Gary gallery. The rest of my big stuff is all getting ready to be packed up and moved. But that's my some of my collection from Gary.
I also want to talk about one other thing that all this affected most of y'all is there was a show planned for this past weekend that many of y'all
for like
this
tomorrow.
Oh, that's right,
Sunday.
this weekend.
Yeah.
but many of y'all were. I don't know what day it is anymore. Many of y'all were planning on being at. I know Sean was planning on being at because it was a Herp show. And then Sean, y'all had to cancel it because it became a shelter, right?
Yeah, we were kind of already on the fence when we noticed that the weather conditions weren't improving. We figured that maybe we could get down there Friday and everything would be okay. We were going to make that determination Wednesday morning. We had spoken to several people about it, whether or not to go forward. Because, again, it's going to be a beautiful weekend in Texas. That's what's crazy. It's going to be in the mid-60s and 70s and sunny and no rain and beautiful, right? Well, they actually are using that as a shelter now, and it's probably only going to be used for the next couple of days, but still, it was like that helped make our decision a lot easier. And, you know, there's a lot of time and money and invested in that from each of the vendors that come to those shows. So it was a big hit to those guys because I know some people needed those shows to keep their families, and it was just it really was the right decision regardless if they used it as a shelter or not. To be honest with you,
yeah.
And I will say,
being safe.
I will say for the Corpus show, if it was any other show, that I would worry after this cold spell. I would worry about the health of the animals, but because it's Herps, I know that the vendors there are screened and that they wouldn't put an animal that is possible with RI out on their table.
Nope.
Yeah,
we're not bringing any of our babies this
I'm not
weekend.
bringing any.
Well, you could end up seeing a lot of shows right now where people are trying to dump animals before they die. That's not going to happen at this show, but there are some shows where I would worry about that happening.
And that's one thing I wanted to point out is that's not going to happen at a Herp show because I've seen. Sorry, my pig's knocking
Guys,
over
I
my
have
mic.
to step away for just a second, guys.
That's fine.
So I've seen the smallest complaint from a customer. Sean is at that table, and you know, of course, when thousands of people are coming through, there's going to be some kind of complaint. At Conroe, they were looking for the guy in green to complain to, and so Sean addresses that. He looks at it. He is somebody that when he goes to defend you on what is on your table, you know, because if it sucks, he'll tell you take that off, you know, and so like you know that he's going to be there with his hawk eyes looking at every animal. And
the good thing about it is that we have such a strong community in the Herps vendors that I don't have to do that as much. We weeded out those people who we really could care less. Everyone kind of that we have, they know what's right and wrong, and that's what we've tried to build, you know. So I really don't have to push it as much. If I see something that looks sketchy, I'll take care of it. But most of our vendors, 99% of our vendors know better than to do that. You know, they know either I'm going to get onto them or another vendor's going to get onto them. I don't even have to worry about me. The other vendors around them will take care of that situation. And I'm really, really proud of our group for that.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of times we'll catch it and bring it to your attention, Sean, and be like, hey, dude, you know, look what's going on over here, you know.
And nobody wants to piss off the boss lady, so
Nobody wants to piss off boss lady. No, don't mess with boss lady.
That's right.
See how he looked off camera? He was looking at boss lady. She's right there.
She's actually in the bedroom. She's watching some Hallmark. She's had a couple of Hallmark movie days. She wasn't feeling too hot, so I've been like, I served her dinner. Like I even took her dinner to her bed. Like I made dinner.
Do you hear
and stuff.
this?
Once you make dinner, I'll serve you dinner.
This is how you
make
dinner all week. I'm actually
you make the dinner.
Yeah.
Sean.
But no, she hadn't been feeling good the past couple of days, and the stress has gotten to her, and she has an earache or something. So she's just been she's had a couple of days of just movie days. She can watch all of her Hallmark Christmas movies that she's had recorded that we've been on the road and never got to watch. So
nice.
She's doing that and Netflix binging, and I'm hanging out with the kids and stuff. So
I'm
Hallmark
almost on season 4 of Schitt's Creek.
Hallmark made getting snowed in look a lot more romantic than
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yes.
So I do want to ask this, and I know we're all going through tough stuff this week. Did any of y'all think about putting snakes together when the pressure dropped and the storm rolled through? Because I did. I put snakes together.
That's you.
The only
Very
thing I'm
briefly.
breeding this year is my carpets, and they were already together, or I would have thought about it.
See,
Oh, yeah.
I have a.
We got the first bit of storms, but not for this one.
Yeah. When he came through and was like, I'm going to put snakes together, I'm like, really? This is what we're thinking about right now.
Well, I have a Sambo that will like screw a piece of rope if I give it to him. And as soon as I put him in with the female, within 15 minutes he was hooked up. And the other male that I was hoping would breed just sat in the corner and watched.
Oh, see, John Grant, he paired his sperms.
Let's see, John.
Yeah.
You can see.
And John Grant, I had to go answer the phone because have someone coming to pick up racks. That guy, Kevin, from up there by you, sent a hot shot to pick up his racks because he needs them that bad.
John, I know that Callie is playing with Dakota Monday rather than listening to this podcast. I saw it on Facebook.
They don't have internet. She's not listening to this.
Yeah. I actually had considered doing my blue tongues earlier last week, but I mean, with all the moving stuff, trying to get everything. We were supposed to move animals this week. We were actually supposed to be moving our entire collection down to the house in Bryan and setting up the reptile room down there. Obviously, that got skewed, but I considered last week pairing the blue tongues up.
I feel like somebody was talking, but I can't hear them.
I know.
Yeah.
We all heard
We
a
all
ghost.
just were like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
I've looked forward to this since Tyler brought it up and Robert asked us about like having all of y'all on here. It was really good to finally get to talk to everybody because this week has sucked. And as much as I love my wife,
I'm over you. Like, let's just be real.
It's just been us for a week.
Hallmark.
We don't even have our kid as a buffer because she's been in West Virginia this whole time, having the greatest vacation ever with my mom and my siblings. She's obsessed with video
and
games.
houses that are made for snow.
So y'all haven't been taking advantage of that at all.
No.
Kenny was real quick on that one. Nope.
There are other things that prevent things from happening at the moment.
Moving on.
Moving on. Next.
But
So James did have the sex change. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But we were really excited to be able to do this because I like I said when Robert brought it up, I was like, I want to figure out how we want to do it, but being able to do live stream and have people listening and talking to us while we do this, I don't know about for y'all, but it was kind of therapeutic for us after being trapped in ice for a week.
Definitely.
Reminds me of Saturday after a reptile show.
Yeah. I think
Except
we're all
nobody's
just
throwing
drinking
carrots at
sodas.
Yeah, nobody's throwing carrots.
Yeah.
Did you get bruises from those
No
carrots?
alcohol. I'm sure he did.
Uh,
I know there's still carrots on top of James's roof because I threw them up there. So.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So now they're trying
and hold
to
on.
like
I need, for anyone who doesn't know the story, back when I was vegan, that was the only snack that they had. And it started as baby carrots. This last
what happened? Let me tell the story.
What happened
what happened was
we were all trashed at Kayla and James'
excuse
house.
me.
No,
Excuse
this
me.
is before.
No.
Oh.
You weren't here. And Kayla decided she wanted to make pizza rolls. So she goes and puts pizza rolls in the oven. And Max says, but I'm a vegan. So she looks in the fridge. She has a bag of baby carrots. She picks them up and throws the whole fucking thing at him and says, "Here." That's how the carrot thing started. That was the whole tabletop ping pong night and all that stuff.
That's what you get for being a vegan.
So the last Conroe show after Saturday, we're over at their house, and we're out sitting around the fire pit, and these gigantic carrots, like not the little
twice,
carrots,
Yeah.
We're
flying out the
pretty
door,
sure.
like I heard them hit his body and his
Oh
head.
my God. I
like,
can hear it from inside the house.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they stole them from James's like animal collection.
yeah, that was for the
food.
pictures, I'm sure. Yeah, I think it was for the
I hid
pictures.
one behind the shampoo bottle.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that. We hid them behind the shampoo bottle, and that's the other thing is every time we go over there, we turn one item upside down in James and Kayla's guest bathroom, and it's gone from just a couple of little things like paintings on the wall to they changed the entire not the switch plate, the entire plug, the outlet upside down inside, took it apart, the toilet seat, the lid, everything, took it off, and yeah, that was
It was.
Yeah.
We lost.
But yeah, that's just part of the fun we have.
We lost Tyler.
No, we
And
got it
There he
back.
is.
while we're talking about that real quick, I brought this up on Chris's podcast for the June Conroe show. It's our 100th show that we've ever done, right?
My birthday.
Yeah, and that's your birthday. And Lori said you still have to work, by the way. So
I know. I tried to get that Sunday off.
Look what Bergoli just said.
No, ma'am.
that's boss lady. That's you and boss lady.
I know.
Tell Kayla we said fuck her too. We love you.
Oh, wait. I just want to say this. I've hinted at what I flipped over in their house multiple times. I don't know if they found it, but I figured I'd go ahead and say now. Look for something that is made to hold coins.
Just tell them what it is.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a hint too.
Hold on. So, I think what we're gonna do for the June Conroe show is we're actually gonna bring back a live auction Saturday night right after the show.
Oh, awesome!
Cool.
We have 5,000 square foot in that separate room to do a live auction, and then right after that, we're going to do crawfish boil and try to get some live music out in front where the RV spots are. So we're gonna boil a bunch of sacks of crawfish and do some sides and stuff. And I think Andy wants to do like a nacho bar. So that's gonna be an appreciation for everything from everybody.
Let's
We're
keep
also
our fingers
you already
crossed that
have,
the crawfish are okay.
we're giving.
Have a hookup on the crawfish?
No, I think we're gonna talk to Justin because Justin's family, Justin Dale.
Okay. Let me know if you follow through because my family. I've also got some connections.
I mean, just fucking bring crawfish. Like I'm gonna eat a 5-gallon bucket myself. So.
No, I can't get crawfish personally, but I can get us crawfish if we need crawfish.
But another part of that is we're gonna do some shopping sprees. We're gonna give several $1,000s away to customers to go spend at the shows.
That's awesome.
We're figuring that out right now. But yes, hopefully the crawfish are not dead. They're pretty resilient.
Not gonna lie, it's a concern that I also have.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like we've been through some freezes before. Even that, we used to rent out. Well, we leased out our rice fields to crawfish farmers in the off season, and it gets cold down there in those ditches and stuff like that. But they burrow just like any other reptile would be brumating or estivating. So I think
if you need anything from Louisiana, let us know.
Yeah.
The important thing is, when do we flip stuff at James and Kayla's house?
That weekend there will be no flipping.
That weekend won't be any flipping because we're actually going to do the crawfish boil at the venue out front.
That's not acceptable.
Well,
Rachel, we were talking about having people over after Stafford. I think we're going to pass on that. I don't.
Pass on that one.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, we are going to have that party at our house, but we have a separate party bathroom.
Right.
Y'all can do what the fuck y'all want to that one.
Right. I want to let it be known that if you hang out with Sean, don't be the first to fall asleep.
Never.
Oh, did they draw on your face again?
Big old dick.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Don't let John Grant find your car either.
Oh, no, he likes it. Yeah, thanks for thinking that was me, by the way, Katie.
I texted you and him. Thank you very much.
And me. You texted me too, Katie.
I did.
I told you who it was immediately.
James Vergoli, if you can lift that freaking massage chair, go ahead. That's another thing. We have a massage chair at our house, the new house.
It is awesome.
So amazing.
Rotate. Yeah. So
good to know.
Good to know. We'll have fun.
And that's in 3 weekends.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
And that's Robert's birthday weekend, the Bryan College Station show is.
We'll be there, but we're not ending. We're just
That's the next show, isn't it? The Bryan show?
Coming as friends.
After Corpus, yeah.
Oh, Corpus, okay.
Yep. So
maybe we're
that's
coming.
My next
we
show,
can fix our toilets.
Yeah, hopefully.
I need our toilets to work before we go there.
Okay.
Yeah, don't let them freeze.
No.
Too late.
But for real, I know we've been all over the place, but kind of getting back to the reason for this is, everything got fucked up here. We're stronger than all this. If you guys want to make donations, you can go to it's herpsfamilystrong@gmail.com, or if you want to make a donation to the Reptile Breeders Relief Fund, that is reptilerelief101@gmail.com. That's Josh, Jackie, and Tess, and Ryan. Those guys have a great organization. We talked about that with Kori earlier. Everybody likes to help, and if anybody has any vet connections, I know that we're going to need like Baytril and stuff like that sent to people next week. So, I mean, Debbie from Reptiles to You contacted me yesterday about she's shipping a bunch of supplies down to Corpus. I'm going to be bringing back for like Chase Baker and a few other people. And she asked me about heat packs, and I'm like, I don't think we're going to need them by then, but snake bags and things like that. Anything that you guys can think of that would, be of help for people that are going to need to replace bedding, bags, stuff that's gotten ruined from either water damage or anything like that. That stuff's helpful. And then, like I said, you can make monetary donations at those PayPal.
Earlier, I know that we pulled it up on the screen, but we didn't get to say anything about it. Jennifer Williamson made a $200 donation during this.
That's awesome.
Live stream.
Awesome.
Hey, Sean, I'll message Cord and see if he can help as far as medication.
Yeah, I was gonna actually reach out to him this week, but yeah, if you can call him, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm in pretty constant communication with him. I'll hit him up and see if he can help. Get with you as far as distribution and shit to see.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be down in Corpus with Tim this weekend, and he's the exotic vet down in Corpus, so I'll be down there with him. So we'll try to figure it all out.
Also, with all this,
then we can get everybody taken care of.
Well, and also with all this, I want to also mention US ARC, because outside of all this happening in Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma and Arkansas, there have been a lot of things lately that US ARC has had to been fighting. There's a lot of states right now going through a lot of bills trying to get passed that will end people's ability to own the animals we love. So US ARC is also a big one. Feel free to donate to all of them. Even if you can't donate, feel free to share links on Facebook to all of them. It's a very tricky time right now. COVID is actually coming back to bite a lot of us in the ass in the animal hobby, because they're starting to lump in us owning snakes and lizards with transmittable diseases from animals, which our animals are not passing disease. Our ball pythons that y'all are breeding for the 70th generation in captivity are not passing on something to humans. So that's really important as well. But that was my 2 cents.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Are we gonna take questions from anyone, or are you guys?
We've actually been. We haven't had any. We've been putting stuff up on the screen as it comes in, and so that's been really great. And I actually, because I have been taking some notes.
Who takes notes like that? Now y'all got to see this.
Well,
Just your face and give me my notebook.
Who takes notes all random on the paper like that?
I do. I have someone picking up racks in like 10 minutes, but if we're still going, I'll just step away, go load them up, and come back. So
James Bergoli said that he's waiting on his tax money to hit so that he can get some more racks from you. Margaret Trumbull said that she has also got to get some more racks from you.
Well, Margaret is Chad's wife.
So,
okay, there you go.
I wanted to put something out there. I think while we're on this stream and while I'm being held accountable, what is a goal that we should reach to where if we reach it, I dye my beard light blue, like merman blue?
How much do we have in the account right now, Katie, in the PayPal? Like 15. Well, we had 200, so we have 50.
200.
So 15.
We have 1610.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
I say 1611.
I was thinking 1611 sounds good. 1611, and Max has to dye his beard blue.
That dye costs more than that. We're going backwards.
That's not my fault. I'm not buying the dye.
Yeah, I'm with James Bergoli. I think $5,000. Do not let Callie dye anything that you want. Chad says, "What's wrong with blue?"
Colorblind.
Because Chad has blue hair, so he says, "What's wrong with blue?"
You know what? I'm with James. I think 5,000. We'll be there in no time.
Yeah.
If you got 600 in one day, we'll be at 5,000 in a week. Easy.
Cool.
Oh, John Grant says he'll buy his as well.
How long are you going to keep it that way?
Well, I'm working from home, so we'll see how many viewers it brings in. A blue bearded man might give me some subscribers.
Our daughter is
I don't
in school
have
for
tits.
I like
cosmetology.
this shit of other people doing stuff and dressing in tutus and
That's
eating
true.
roaches. That's awesome.
Lily could dye it at a show.
Yeah,
we'll
Lily's
have
in
Lily do it.
cosmetology.
Yeah, she
There
can
you
do
go.
it.
Yeah.
She's going to hear me say her name and come in here and wonder why I'm talking about her.
John Grant says he'll do pink. Yeah.
Well, I just want to be a merman. You know that scene in Zoolander where he's like a merman.
He's going to do it regardless. You know that, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate it, Max, though, and you know how much we love you, and I know it's been tough for you, brother. And I'm glad I'll get to see you this week, and we'll have a good time. So shots are on me.
Ooh. How about Docs? Docs are on you.
What?
Oh,
What?
the restaurant. Docs.
Oh yeah, I'll get you docs. That's fine. That's a good deal.
One person asked if there's a Patreon. Sean does not have. Y'all don't have a Patreon, but y'all do have a PayPal that y'all can send money straight to, which is
herpsfamilystrong@gmail.com.
we do have a Patreon for the podcast. If you want to feel free to donate to the podcast, because we haven't actually mentioned it, but I want to bring up our giveaway for this month. We are giving away a $100 gift certificate to Southern Reptile Supplies at any Herps Reptile show. Andy is awesome. He's going to give away $100 to anybody. All you got to do is go to our Facebook page, find the the contest that's been pinned at the top of our Facebook page and just comment. Tell us what you would buy with that $100. And mostly it's betting. That's what we've seen. Reptile. That has been the it's just Reptile. Or bioactive stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody out there, feel free to go. All you do is comment, and then at the end of February, we will just draw a winner. You'll win $100. The only trick is you got to be at a Herp show to spend it. So, but you'll enjoy a Herp show and $100 at Andy's booth, which again, if it's anything reptile related, non-animal related, he has it.
And then Grant Family Exotics wants to sponsor March, so they're going to have something really cool for our March giveaway as well.
That means we have to say his name every time.
We do.
We do anyway. John Grant.
Maybe
we do it.
maybe when we go to Bryan College Station.
But we need to say
figure out
Callie
a way
Grant too,
to
because
record.
you know
That is
she's
true.
just as important.
Because we're just going for fun, so we can take stuff with us and record while we're there.
There you go.
That's true. I could record it.
And then John
Or
Grant
do-
can be a guest. Finally.
And you don't have to worry about him not having internet.
Hey, do you guys have one of those web links where you have like those 6 buttons you push and something happens to it for your computer, James?
No.
I don't know what you're talking
Okay, you'll need to get one, and like every time you say John Grant, you push this button and it goes John Grant.
Oh, yeah.
All right. JT saying he wants to give away a Herp set because then I'm definitely entering for that.
I don't think we can't enter. It's our podcast.
Oh shit! All right, can I quit for a
I can
month?
enter.
No.
And I'll enter for a
No.
month.
There's supposed to
Oh,
be
look what
a
Tracy just said.
space there.
Oh God, the calendar photo shoot. Oh my God, we've
That was
got
a
Oh.
scary afternoon.
I forgot
We
about
have-
that.
We still
Scary
haven't finished it though.
afternoon.
We still haven't finished it. We need to get that done. We
That
gotta
photo
do
shoot, that was at Conroe. That was interesting.
Last year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If
is a
anybody
good
still
word.
needs photos, we'll be at the beach and I'll have a camera.
Oh, someone's got to do the copper tone, baby.
Actually, yeah, Andy and I haven't done ours. A couple other people need to do ours.
I think
so.
me and James Bergoli still need to do ours.
Yeah, they're
We
not
need to
coming to
do-
corporate, so.
We could
Because
have
I don't-
Andy dressed up as Flavius in the calendar.
Well, he was going to do that for Halloween, but then Flavius didn't make the Halloween show. So.
Right.
What if you and Andy do the copper tone, baby, and you're the dog pulling the pants down?
No, I've already taken a shot out of his belly button. I'm not touching.
Oh.
Oh God!
Why would you do body shots?
Why would you do
I remember that.
Of
I remember that.
anybody?
That was the same show in Lake Charles that we had gotten to that was doing a contest, and one of those was that I had to do a shot out of Andy's belly button, and he laid on the table, and I did a shot of it was bad. That's the same one that I ate. I was supposed to eat a dubia, and my asshole friends love you guys, decided there weren't any dubia in the building, so they gave me an adult female hissing cockroach.
Oh God!
So there's video of that. And
I think
she was
Kori's face was the bestest now.
So when I bit into her, all her babies went into my mouth. And
Oh,
there's video evidence of that. And I jumped into Lake Charles, all the same. But that was all just trying to promote the show. So
Oh,
Jesus, that's
that's horrible.
yeah, it sucked balls.
wait. You suck balls also? That's
No, stop it.
It's gotta be better than eating a fucking cockroach and doing a body shot on Andy's
Thanks,
fucking
Lewis
nasty
won't
belly
even
button.
kill a cockroach if it gets in the house. I have to do it. There ain't no
they're
way
gross.
he
I ain't
can
eating
eat
one. That's for sure.
He calls me. There's a cockroach. Come kill it.
But I remove spiders. Thank you much. And mice.
I haven't.
I do it
mice,
all.
That's all you.
Wait, so
I don't do mice.
hold on. So he'll do the cockroaches for you, and you're fine with cockroaches. But if
No,
I
no,
drink
no.
water too close to the microphone,
It's the sound. I can't do the sound.
Oh look, no. Whenever I eat, we have to turn music or something up.
We do. My father-in-law has actually gotten so used to it over the last 16 years that before we even sit down for dinner, he turns the radio on so that we can all sit at the same table. That's why I like going to restaurants, because it's so loud and I can't. I don't even like to hear myself chew my food. It's a
Katie,
problem.
you know that you shouldn't tell all of us stuff like
I know. But I go to bed after shows. I don't normally hang out with you guys.
All right, there's a bunch of Herps people here. Has anyone seen the little satanic doll?
Yeah.
Oh, we know where it's at. We know where it's at. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it got stuck in Tyler's stuff, Tyler Cleckley, when he was doing shows in Florida and his sister was doing our shows. But it's gonna be passed around soon.
Oh, God.
We know where it's at. We've located the doll.
It's if she was clean, she wouldn't be that creepy.
She's been
Well,
clean. She's been washed like 3 or 4 times.
No, you need
No.
Debbie's childhood doll.
That's
Oh, no.
horrifying.
That'd be
No.
scary. Mm-mm.
No.
That's
No, but we did know where we did find the Herps doll, and we are gonna make sure that gets passed back around.
No. Debbie's doll's scary.
Yeah, that thing kills people. That's the one that you walk into a room and there's a rocking chair and it's sitting in it and the rocking chair is moving. That's Debbie's doll.
I don't watch scary movies, and that doll, no, just no.
Anyway,
Violet wanted to keep her.
Of course, Violet did.
That's what took the longest was Violet would not let her go.
Oh,
I was
Yeah.
right.
baby.
Y'all stole that poor little baby doll from that kid.
God.
That baby doll came out of the parking lot of Conroe.
Gina had a doll like Debbie's too.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
There's no more death whistles allowed at the Herp show. I think we all voted on that.
That was awful.
I thought somebody got bit for real.
I thought someone was dying.
I thought it was the cockatoo. Over and over again.
Somebody got bit 5 seconds into the show.
Yeah, that puckered up a lot of assholes the entire weekend.
Yep.
Max's name is $5,000 for blue hair.
Yeah.
Has anyone checked?
Maria earlier.
Yeah. He still has, as far as I know, he still doesn't have power.
A couple hours ago, I talked to him and he still didn't have power.
He still doesn't have power.
Does he have a generator and all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does, but he took a hard hit, guys.
Yeah, Rick.
I talked to Pete. I talked to Pete yesterday. It's not good.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I said, that's going to be the stories that start to come out over the next week or two are going to be the hardest.
I would imagine that Rick's Bushmasters didn't handle the cold very well. Yeah,
Man.
sad.
All right. Well, this has been fun, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been great.
I appreciate all of y'all coming on, and anyone on that we have not had on as an individual guest yet. We have to have you on as a guest yet.
Absolutely.
Yes, we
You hit my
do.
knee when you turn
I
it.
want you, Katie and James.
Yes.
I want you to schedule the time to interview Lori.
Okay.
We've been.
What do you
I
think?
think we should.
Because I have been pushing
No.
for this.
Yes, and the reason I say that is because that woman, how much work she puts on behind the scenes that you guys don't see,
I
is
agree.
unbelievable. And she'll probably talk tons of shit about me, and I really don't care. But she really did.
Hey, I work for Front Register with her. We talk.
She's a machine, and yeah, she would be a great guest because there's a lot of people that don't see why she's boss lady, but that woman is amazing. And
Look, I tried to have non-snake people on with Jay and Tanya, and then the weather hit. See, that's what happens when I try to have non-snake people on.
well, you got to get Jay and Tanya. You need to stop doing everything about snakes. It's not the Snake Gumbo podcast. It's the Reptile Gumbo podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get Huff
Let's
on.
throw
We
some
need to get Tyler
Indians
on,
in there too.
Drew on.
Yeah. So
Sure, we've
it's
had
good to have a
Kori.
variety. But seriously, Lori would have a really good insight as far as what goes on behind the scenes and what you guys don't see from a vendor's perspective that she actually handles. Because pretty much I've just told all the vendors contact her because her organizational skills are through the roof. That's what she loves to do. So yeah, that'd be a great one I think for you.
Yep.
Gotcha. I was looking at Chad's thing. How cold can we have? Okay, I'm feeling a word's a word's got to be missing there because
No, how cold can
He's
we
wanting to know how cold could his snakes have gotten. He has boas and ball pythons.
I mean,
So
it depends on
If
how
he's-
long.
They got down to the 60s. I think he might be okay, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you could still have RIs if they're coming back out too soon. But that's the other thing is warm them up slowly. Don't just put them on heat automatically. You know, warm everything up slowly if you're thawing out. 60 ambient temperature of 60 for a snake. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I mean, that's like a freaking Saturday afternoon in spring here. You know what I'm saying? So, Kori, yeah. What did you say, Kori? Kori has a.
It's like shipping temperatures. Like it's not like if you're just doing it overnight, it's not a big deal. But it's extended and lower is when you start running into real issues.
I'm Malia. We'll see you in Corpus. Yeah, Malia's been in Florida all week. I mean, she's been down on the beach in Florida the past week or so she missed most of this stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
She could have traveled to Mexico,
Costa Rica,
to Cancun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people in Texas. Well, person in Texas did that. It does seem like it's okay.
Oh my
You
goodness.
see Tanya's comment? Oh, there he is, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Good.
All right. So, Max, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Let's see. Pigeon mail.
At this point, smoke signals.
gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's how you get a hold of Max. Bad dad jokes at gmail.com.
Just if you put out a hummus and chips and a 6-pack of Shiner, I'll come in the middle of the night.
That's the most hipster shit I've ever heard in my life.
At least he didn't say IPA. I mean, he
With
didn't
some
say
beard
IPA.
oil.
Right?
He actually said Shiner.
Hey,
so.
I use beard oil, so my wife.
Yeah, I'm making
loves
fun of
it,
you too.
so.
Oh, that beard oil's awesome.
Oh God, I'm in trouble.
You
I was
mean
supposed to-
Gorilla Glue? Gorilla Glue?
Don't do it. All right, Tyler, if people want to get a hold of you, how
Oh wait,
can they get a
I need
hold
to
of
be
you?
serious though.
Come on,
Max, come on. We're trying to do a show here. Come
I'm
on.
hungry. Let's go.
Max's view, everything.
All right, Tyler, if people want to get a hold of you and pick your awesome brain, how can they reach you?
They can text me at my Gecko World Austin Facebook page, or if you go to my website, it has my phone number or email. You can contact me anyway.
Awesome. Drew, if people want to get a hold of you.
So Facebook is The Learning Zoo, and then website is thelearningzootx.com, and email is thelearningzootx@gmail. Any of those work, and I respond as soon as I see them.
Awesome. Seth, what about you?
Huff Herps on Facebook or huffserps@yahoo.com, and I stay on top of them both. Hit me up and I'll hit you back.
Very awesome. Sean.
Call Lori. No,
I'm
our
pretty
website,
impressed with how
Herps
quickly you've responded.
No,
to my
that's the
message.
truth. Call Lori. Don't even bother messing with Sean.
No,
Sean Gray, come to the front, please.
Yeah. If you message us on Herp Show on the Facebook Herp Show page, I've been taking care of the answers on those and the ads. I'll get the messenger. She will. If you send us an email, Lori will take care of it. You can give us a call. My number's on my business card on the website. I'll try to answer as much as I can, but like it's literally fighting for phone calls most of the time. Just don't call me on a show weekend on a Saturday at 11 o'clock and expect to get an answer back for real. But you guys can find me anywhere.
Absolutely. All right, Kori, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, Kori Martin Reptiles on Instagram and Facebook. That's the easiest.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yep.
Rachel, it's your turn. Can you tell us how people can get a hold of you and Robert?
Lone Star Reptile Racks. Facebook and Instagram and our webpage.
Yep. And his number is on the website. So if you need to reach out to him, you can go to lsreptileracks.com.
Which is funny, because Robert just texted me, says our internet just died. And it obviously didn't, because I see Rachel. So his internet just
I don't
died.
know what happened to him. He's a loser.
Oh, I thought he was just going to like load up racks or
Nope.
something. All right, James, if people need to get a hold of you, what can they do?
Simply_serpents on Instagram, Simply Serpents on Facebook. The podcast is the Reptile Gumbo Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. Again, quick reminder, $100 giveaway for the month of February on our Facebook page. Go look at that, check that out. Put down what you would buy with the $100. Get into that drawing. I want to thank all of y'all for coming on here and spending these 2 hours of what has been the highlight of this entire week for us. It has been awesome, great, and we've had a lot of fun. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Don't
Love you
forget
guys.
to
Thank
Thanks for
don't
the
forget
invite.
to check out PayPal if you feel like making donations, herpsfamilystrong@gmail.com. You can make donations there. Also check out our discussion board on Facebook. There's been some great posts. Travis Wyman, as always, has been posting.
Yeah, we will get back to covering those
He's been
things
posting
next
some
week.
cool stuff all week. So if you want something to take your mind off of things, scroll through the discussion board. It's good stuff. All right, guys. So we might try to do some more live stuff soon. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. And I will get this podcast. Anybody that had missed it, I'll get this podcast out hopefully today or tomorrow. So
All right, you guys take it easy.
bye.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.